Oh, hello and welcome to Tucson, Arizona. I'm ready.
And I'm Daniel.
Comment, like, subscribe, do all the things. Disagree with me. Disagree with him. Tell him he looks bizarre. Tell me I look bizarre. So, couple of movies to review, to talk about. We're going to go in order.
Okay.
So don't turn out the lights.
Very forgettable.
Was it scary?
No,
You scared? You're not scared?
I wasn't scared
I was
of that
terrified.
one. It didn't get me.
I was freaking terrified.
They had a couple good opportunities to have some cool scares, and I feel like they
You weren't
kinda
scared?
dropped the ball.
You weren't scared.
No, not at all.
Dude, I was terrified.
No, you weren't.
Oh, I was, truly. But not for the reasons you might think.
Okay.
I was terrified that people that behave like that might actually exist.
Oh yeah, that was rough.
That
dude.
was
the first
so bad.
the first 15 minutes of that movie was really hard to get through.
Yeah.
It was tough to stomach.
It was
People
so
don't act
painful.
like that.
No, they don't.
No.
I've met a lot of people.
Yeah.
With a lot of different
People don't
walks of
act like
life.
that, yeah.
No one behaves like that. No one talks like that.
No.
There might have been a handful of lines that like a college kid would say, or like a young progressive, modern progressive person might say.
Okay.
They would not say it to the same level of
No.
energy of any of those people.
No.
And they wouldn't be that way so consistently.
No.
They might be like excited for 30 seconds
Yeah.
and say pick a line and say it. But no one behaves that way.
No.
It is the most unbelievable behavior I've seen on screen in a while.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was so hard to get through. But one thing I said in those first 10 minutes when my lovely wife decided she was going to bed because she was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. I said, I'm going to watch this because I want to see every one of these people die.
Yeah.
Did I get to see what I wanted to see?
Yep. Everybody died.
Success. That was the only good thing about that entire freaking movie.
Well, they left the last chick ambiguous, but
She disappeared.
You assume she died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible film. So
Yeah.
let's get into it.
Yeah.
So it's some girl's birthday. She's acting like a tween.
And they tell you about 25 times. throughout
Oh,
the movie.
dude. Yeah, because at one point you're like, can they say it's her birthday anymore?
I had to, dude.
And we were like half an hour into the movie, and
Yeah.
you're just like, so the
I had
premise,
to.
if you haven't seen this movie, don't watch it. Let me ruin it for you and save you the hour and a half or whatever of what I wouldn't even consider B movie material.
Yeah, it was rough.
Like B movies, when I think of B movie, I think Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness,
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Killer Clowns, like the original It miniseries to some degree. Even though
Okay.
it's like mainstream,
Yeah.
it's still very reminiscent of
Yeah.
B movies. Arachnophobia,
That's a good one.
Crows,
Yeah.
or Birds. I mean, not Crows. Sorry, my bad. Birds. Like they've got basically the entire original Twilight Zone TV series. Like it's all B movie material.
Mhm.
You walk away like I feel nostalgic for those films. There's something to them. Even Evolution. That's
Yeah,
a B
They're
movie.
fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously, so it's easy to like.
Yeah, they're campy.
Yeah, it's fun to laugh at it. It's fun to like play along with like the potential jump scares and stuff like that.
And the
Like,
premise is
yeah.
so this is
And typically in a B movie, the story is not half bad.
typically no.
No,
Like there's
Evolution's got a great story.
I love Evolution. That's
Yeah.
why I threw it out because
Yeah,
we
it's a good
talked
one.
about it a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago. So, and to a degree, I mean, I know we discussed it and you're not as big a fan, but I love Eight-Legged Freaks. Like,
Yeah.
it takes place in Arizona.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
No,
know.
it's a fun. Like I
It's
can appreciate.
terrible,
I can appreciate the
but
movie.
it's so much fun.
I just remember the first time I saw it. I was a kid, and I was like, "This is so bad."
It's bad, dude. It's not good.
Yeah.
Like, I defend my love for it. I don't
Yeah.
defend it.
Yeah.
Kind of like I will disagree with someone when they love something
It's
I can't
funny
stand.
to me.
But
It's funny to me too that you have an infatuation with that film, especially because you hate spiders so much.
it's probably why I do.
Okay.
Like it freaks me out. I can't stand it. Like there's a new movie called Sting.
I
And
want to see that one.
I don't.
Okay.
But I
wanna see
probably
that one.
will
Yeah.
because I'm a freaking masochist like
Yeah.
that. Or is it a sadist? I don't know.
Sadist,
I'm not into that stuff.
Yeah.
I just know typically they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I'm mean to me.
Yeah.
I'm not really mean to other
Sadist.
people. Yeah, so sadist. So anyways, so this film starts off with this I don't know, what would you say they are? Like 23, 24 maybe? 22-year-old,
there,
like
yeah.
early 20s.
Early 20s.
So you meet this woman, she's carrying like a birthday bag in like a park with a bunch of people, and there's this little girl singing The Wheels on the Bus,
Yeah.
minding her own business. And this woman walks up to this like 8-year-old child who's by herself and deliberately starts talking to her. I love your song. And the girl like very creepily, very slowly turns around and just dogs her down. And then she's like, okay, I'll be off on my own now.
Don't you have a cornfield to hang out
Yeah,
in?
she's like, don't you have a cornfield to get back to? So, which is actually funny because Children of the Corn is dog shit, in my opinion. So, so she goes, meets up with like a couple of her friends, and this is where the over-the-top, overacting, Yas Queen, ridiculous.
Gets laid on thick.
Dude, it is so thick. Like, think of every annoying young person today that has ever said anything annoying and
Turning it up to like 20.
and have an hour and a half of that.
Yeah.
Of just the most ridiculous energy and the dumbest things to say. So there's like a birthday party happening for like a 23-year-old, clearly spoiled daddy's girl.
Mhm.
And there's like all these cupcakes and all this stuff, a big banner, blah, blah, blah. You keep getting introduced to more and more characters, and they're all equally just
Unlikable.
oh, dude,
Yeah.
so unlikable.
Yeah, they really wrote all the characters to be
The most
unlikable.
hated
Yeah.
people you've ever seen on film.
It was rough.
So
Like I thought Jeepers Creepers did really bad with it with the second film, but man, this one
takes it to
took
another
it to
level, dude.
Yeah.
Like that cheerleader.
I immediately did like everybody that was
Dude,
on film.
which is why I said I'm gonna keep watching this. I need to see all these people die.
Yeah.
So the trailer looks pretty good, right?
Yeah, the trailer wasn't bad.
Because we watched the trailer
Yeah.
and then I was like, okay, I'll put this on.
Trailer sells it.
And like, dude, the hands coming up the side.
Super creepy.
Dude,
I wish they really would have elaborated on that. a little
right?
bit more.
Like, so we'll get to that.
I hate. Yeah.
So
I was just about to get into it.
So the premise is this chick, she's clearly a spoiled rich girl, and there's a big music festival called Blue Light. So this film was originally named Blue Light, and they changed it to Don't Turn Out the Lights.
Okay.
So the Blue Light, it's this big music festival. They're all super stoked for it. They've got a ton of drugs, blah, blah, blah. They all get their little wristbands for Blue Light. And her boyfriend shows up with an RV with like this big banner on the
Tattered
side.
RV.
Yeah, tattered RV. Like clearly a hunter's RV.
Yeah,
It's even
very-
got like antlers on the nose.
Yeah.
So they get on the RV and they take off to go to the Blue Light. And they're all jazzed. They're all drinking. They're playing drinking games. The one dude has got like all the drugs in the world and he's putting them in a system quickly. They stop at a gas station.
Very unlikable character.
Dude, so bad. And what sucks is right around the time you start liking him. Anyways, so this dude's just like getting hammered, and they pull up to a gas station in the middle of BFE, and they get off of the RV. And this is where it continues to just people behave in the most unrealistic ways.
Yeah, that's the thing that's crazy.
So, like, I grew up in the South. People don't talk to you. Like, everyone's minding their own damn business. You might hold a door for someone at a convenience store. And you say, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Have a good day. Whatever. Like, simple stuff I do every day anyway. You know, just a little tip of the hat. But no one ever bothers anybody. So they pull up this big old beast, which they call the Beast, into the gas pump. Everyone disembarks to go get snacks and stuff. The boyfriend has his roommate with him, and his roommate is a Marine who's going to college, assuming on the GI Bill. So he's pumping gas. The boyfriend and the birthday girl stay on the RV to celebrate like adults do. And coitus.
Yeah.
So one of the girls is walking by, and these two truckers clear across the parking lot just start shouting the most insane things to say to a random person.
Yeah.
Like about hooking up.
Yeah.
And the couple of girls yell at the guys. They go inside. They come out, and as they're going inside, another like clearly rich couple walks out. They hold the door for each other. They say thank you, have a good day, like the normal interactions you would have with another human. And they go to get in their car. The kids come back out, and these two truckers are harassing these two rich people, and they're like, "You can go, dude, but she's staying with us," and like the most insane
Over
crap,
the top.
dude, like that you would never see in reality. And this is all during the broad daylight. And they're standing next to this old red big rig. So the kids get involved, get in these two truckers' faces. The rich people boogie off in their car. And then they start fighting. They start whooping the shit out of the annoying guy. And the jarhead comes in and mollywops the truckers. They all get on the RV and they all take off. And the Marine's driving. They take off, and he just starts flat-footing it because he's just like, we just need to get the hell out of here. And he sees the big rig coming. The big rig starts rear-ending them. They freak out. They ditch off to a side road and get away. And then they're just hauling ass down the side road.
Another Jeepers Creepers ripoff.
Dude, right?
Yeah.
So they take off, except Jeepers Creepers truck was bitching.
Yeah, super cool.
Old panel truck, dude.
That's cool.
So
Be eating you. Yeah.
So they take off down the side road. And then they finally pull over. They're all freaking out. Pull over. They pull over. Now they're all freaking out. The dude whose uncle owns the RV, he gets out. He's freaking out about the damage to the truck. The rich girl was like, don't worry. Use my daddy's credit card. Pay for everything. Your uncle will never know. So they calm down. They're like, let's just get to the blue light. So they continue and they even mention this. So like, all right, well, let's get back on the main road. And they're like, oh no, those truckers. Let's just keep going this way. It takes an extra 2 hours. We'll still be there by like after midnight or whatever. And let's just go.
Yeah, the most unrealistic.
It's like, wait, you don't want to just like turn
ever.
around, get back on the main highway
For 10 minutes of backtracking?
Yeah. So right there, you're like, oh, you morons.
Yeah.
So they continue through the backwoods.
Get what you got coming to you.
Yeah, dude. Stupid games, stupid prizes.
Yep.
So
stupid fog machines coming.
So, which you can almost see.
Yeah.
So
you could see them pluming.
Yes.
Yeah, which was awesome. Such a good touch.
Especially when the second one comes in.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So they pull up to this restaurant or bar restaurant place. They go in.
Oh, this scene. Oh, I forgot about this one.
Holy shit, dude.
Until you mentioned it. I really thought that was the guy from it looked
from
just
Happy
like
Death Day.
it. I thought it looked
I looked it up when you said it. I was like, damn, is it? I looked it up.
They look similar.
They're not the same guy.
Not the same guy.
So
dang it.
Would have been cool if it was.
Would have been cool.
So two people decide to go in, and they send the black dude in with a white chick, and this is clearly in the South somewhere. They never say where the hell they are.
No.
But they're clearly in the South, which is why all the weird random bigots like
are just existing.
The South is mostly, it's an awful lot of black people. I grew up there. So anyways, so it's clearly the South. You've already introduced bigotry. Like, why would the big black dude go into this bar in the South in the middle of the night? Weird decision number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So this now interracial couple, presumably, I mean, they're not the couple, but they go into this bar to get directions, and they walk in and the whole place goes silent. Because that's what happens in reality.
Very scripted.
Yeah. A black dude walks into a bar and the whole place goes quiet.
Yeah.
So they go in and they're like, hey man, we're a little lost. This is where we're trying to get to. Can anyone help us out? And the bartender goes, turn around, go back the way you came. And then they're like, look, man, like we're just looking for help. what's going on? And he goes, the bar's closed. He goes, we're closed. And there's like 40 people in there. And of course they throw,
which is wild for being in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, right.
To be packed. Like
and
that.
they throw the Stars and Bars flag on the roof.
Yeah.
Because hillbillies and racism.
Yeah.
Right. So he goes, dude, we're closed. And he goes, and so the guy turns to everyone and just goes, anybody, please, can you give us help? And he goes, you need to get out of here. And he goes, look, man, I'm just looking for help. He goes, and help's been given. Now you need to go. And so they're like, all right, fine. So they leave. And as they leave,
I forgot about the fact that he pulled the gun out.
Yeah, he pulls a gun. He's like, you need to go. And
like the most like over the top.
Yeah,
like,
it's so ridiculous.
like in what scenario?
So they go to leave, and the one girl who's kind of the main chick, she's the one who talked to the little girl, all this other stuff. She thinks she sees that big rig behind the bar.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird because they didn't pass any other roads. How did that big rig get there? So anyways, so they just said, screw it. We're just going to keep going the way we're going, even though we have no cell reception and our GPS keeps dropping out. Whatever. So they just
map
keep
said
going.
that it's a through road.
Yeah. So they just keep going.
Yeah.
They pass a Challenger.
Yeah.
They pass a Challenger abandoned on the side of the road at one point. And they were like, that's so weird, man. It's such a nice car to just be left out on the side of the road. And they're like speculating what might have happened to the people or whatever. So they keep going. And all of a sudden they presumably hit the world's largest speed bump because this whole damn RV jumps in the air. And then the RV shuts off. Homeboy, who's the most annoying dude on the planet, is assed out on all the drugs in the bed in the back. And they're now like, well, what the hell's going on? They're trying to get the thing to start again. They can't get it to start again. And then they start hearing things outside of the RV. So the big ass black dude who's jacked decides to go walking around the RV looking to see what the hell's going on. So he's walking around and then he disappears.
Something catches his eye.
Something catches his eye, and he starts going, and his girlfriend is standing up. The birthday girl is standing up looking out the windows. And then all of a sudden, she goes freaking bananas, starts screaming, and then goes catatonic.
Yeah.
And she's out.
Literally.
Yeah, so she's out.
Yeah.
And they were like, what the hell's going on? So now they don't know where homeboy
They knew
went.
a lot about shock, though, which was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like, there were so many, like, moments in that film where, like, things would happen and people would be so like prepared for it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, as they've all been drinking for presumably hours and popping
weird.
whatever.
It's weird to watch a movie and I mean, every movie is scripted.
Yeah.
But to watch a movie and be like, man, this feels scripted.
So this movie's so bad. Like, and I wish it was so bad it was good. It's not. It's just bad. So we're laughing at it now, and it was cringe-inducing the entire time we were watching.
Especially that first like 20 minutes.
Oh my god, dude!
That was rough.
It made
dude.
my blood boil.
I really wanted to. I was about to tap out on it, but
I came close.
But you said I want to see everybody get killed. And when you said it, I was like, I kind of want to see everybody get killed.
That's all I wanted. At that point, that was the only redeeming quality of this film.
Yeah.
Is I was like, these people are so over the top, they all have to die.
Yeah.
Like, there's no scream queen here.
No.
So
and I knew the final girl introduction, obviously, with the very beginning with the chick that walked up to the little girl. You knew that was the final girl, but I was like, what are they going to do with her?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how are they going to write themselves out of this nonsense?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, they did
it. So now they're all freaking out. They're like, what the hell did she see? We can't get her to wake up. Like, that was insane.
So now we got 2 passed out college kids.
Yeah. And they can't get the other dude to wake up. And they're like freaking out. And the jarhead all of a sudden has a gun.
Yeah, he finds a pistol.
The dude who owns this RV is clearly a hunter. There's like,
but like
the most random thing, bro, is so you got antlers on the hood, you got heads all over the place, and you've got shark jaws
that's
hanging on the wall.
And then the box of teeth or claws,
whatever those were,
whatever that was. They gave they just showed it off for a second, and then that was it.
And they were like, "What are those?
Yeah.
What do those belong to?"
Yeah, I was really curious.
Yeah, it's like a cigar box that the kid finds in the bathroom.
He thinks it's a stash box.
Yeah, and he opens it up, and it's just like teeth and claws. But they didn't look like any.
But they look like prehistoric.
Yeah, dude, they look like dinosaur teeth.
Yeah.
Like they're all brown.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, weird. Like, but then there's got the small shark mouth on the wall, which was kind of weird because where the hell are you?
Yeah.
That you would get.
Where are you
shark?
hunting? Yeah.
Yeah, like you know how hard those are to get.
Yeah.
So the Marines got a gun. Now everyone's freaking out, and they're like, "You planned this here to kill us?" And he's like, "What?"
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I found it. I found it in the glove box when I was digging around for maps and stuff.
Mhm.
This thing belongs to a hunter. First off, no hunter that's that avid ever would leave a gun just in a glove
Yeah.
box to an RV. He no longer like.
That he's not around.
Yeah, that he's not in
because he's out of town right now.
Yeah, so it turns out the uncle has no idea that the nephew took it. He stole this thing while his uncle was out of town on a business trip. But he starts. Oh, before he took off, they were in the camper.
Would you ever just leave a gun in the Jeep?
Oh hell no! So hell no.
Even in a
dude.
stop box?
No, dude. That stop box comes in and out with
Yeah,
me,
I
dude.
know,
And
I
I do
know.
use the stop box a lot. I used it the other night.
Yep.
So before I forgot about this. Forgive me for going out of order. They're all sitting in the RV trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And at some point, the boyfriend, the big Jack Black dude, starts telling a story about his uncle. His parents are his. Oh no, it wasn't even him. Oh, dude, I just found another flaw in this logic. Okay, so the boyfriend, he's like, my uncle doesn't know I took this thing. He's out of town on a business trip. I figured we'd be back before he knew. And then the rich girl is like, don't worry. We'll take care of all of this. My dad's credit card fixes all problems. It's a magic wand. So he's like, all right. So then he's like, you start hearing stuff outside. So he goes outside to look. And they're all using, this is like the most realistic thing about this whole damn film is they're all using their cell phones as flashlights.
Yeah.
No one ever decided to go looking through the hunter's RV for a flashlight.
They found one.
They did later,
Yeah.
but no one even looked yet.
No.
So he just goes out. I don't know if you've ever used your freaking phone for a
doesn't work
flashlight
very
when it's
well.
like when you're out in the woods. It works real great in your driveway.
Yeah.
And looking under your couch. That's it.
Yeah.
So he's walking around with this thing.
It's not full of lumens.
Yeah. Chick goes catatonic. He's disappeared, but you're hearing these crazy voices.
Yeah.
Repeating everything they're yelling.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the hell? What was
Like distorted voices.
Why would you not be like boogieing right then
Yeah.
together as a group? Just say, to hell with this RV. Something clearly just snatched him up. Let's get the hell out of here and just book it. Because these people are all idiots. So now they're sitting in the RV. Homeboy's got the gun. They're like, you planned on this, you're going to kill us. And he's like, no, that's not accurate at all. Like, I just found it. It's a hunter's RV. Makes all the sense in the world. So clearly these writers have no idea how hunters or firearm enthusiasts operate.
No.
So he's like, I'm going to go find him. Let's figure out what the hell's going on. So eventually he goes out looking for his buddy, and he's got his flashlight, and he is actually holding like how you would hold a weapon in a flashlight, and he's walking around. And then what happened to him?
He took a couple pops at something.
Yeah, he saw something, took a couple pop shots,
And then he was just gone.
He was just gone. He never showed back up.
He showed up all bloody and then got snatched away.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So he shows up at the door and he's covered in blood and he's like, run, run. And then gets yanked like vertically, horizontally, just whoomp. And he's back in the darkness and then he's gone. So they all close the doors. Now it's just a couple of girls who are awake. So it's two women, another woman.
This is my favorite scene.
Catatonic.
We're coming up.
And the dude's still passed out in the back. So they're closing all the doors, closing all the windows, trying to close everything.
With duct tape.
Yeah, with duct tape. And then she tries to fire up the beast. And then like craziness starts happening. And then the doors open again and all the windows are open again.
Yeah.
And then they're freaking out and they can't get the door closed. And it's just chaos. And then everything goes calm and the doors close and all the windows are closed.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the hell's going on? So now they're just freaking the hell out. And
trying to light candles.
Trying to light candles. So the rich girl starts telling the story about like her grandfather, someone had a ton of money, passed away. Her dad and her uncle inherited the money. Her uncle was a hardcore hunter, and one day he was out in the woods. He saw something and told everyone about it. Like she's like, I don't know what he saw that day, but it freaked him out forever. She was like, and my dad, she goes, everyone says my uncle was the really intelligent one because my dad lunged at the opportunity and snatched up the entire inheritance, screwed his brother out of everything. So, because I was trying to read about this stupid ass movie and I found a theory. So they're trying to figure things out, trying to get this truck to start. They can't get the damn thing to start for very long. And they're going through, so then they're sitting down talking, and all of a sudden the TV in the nose of the RV comes on, and it's just the rich girl. And they're like, oh my God, is there a camera in here? She's like, if there's a camera in here, where are you? Because the second girl isn't showing up on screen. And then you start seeing a form in the background, and then it's the dude who's been on drugs, scares the hell out of him. So he's like, what the hell's going on? He thinks they're all screwing them. The whole earlier, everyone thought it was a prank to prank them.
That was my favorite scene.
And then
that giant monologue between the two girls about how it was a really elaborate prank scheme was like genius to
and
me.
they're like,
this is
recording
so
it. They're like, oh yeah, it's a big prank.
It was
Happy birthday or
so
whatever.
Wild.
Like
so wild.
So like, yeah, we're in the middle of freaking nowhere, but we planned all of this.
Yeah, they left their truck out. Like they were like adding in like all like this like so elaborate.
Oh, dude, they went all in on this crazy ass prank, and you have no backstory for any of these fools.
No,
so it's not like, oh yeah, remember all those practical jokes you used to pull on us all the time? Like none of that.
No. Yeah, that whole monologue was wild.
So homeboy's awake now, and he's thinking there's some screwy stuff going on. Oh no, that didn't happen yet. I missed a whole nother scene. So they're sitting there they're freaking out, not knowing what the hell to do, and the birthday girl wakes up, and they're trying to talk to her, and she's just still being kind of catatonic. And then she picks up her phone and starts talking on her phone, and then just walks out of the RV,
presumably to her boyfriend.
Yeah, and she's like talking to her boyfriend, and then she just walks straight ahead of them on the road. And they're like, what the hell is she doing? And they're like honking, and they're trying to get her to come back. And she's just hell and gone 40 feet in front of the RV, still on her phone. She's like, I'm here, baby. Where are you? And then she starts tripping out and seeing, I don't know, like ghillie suit wearing people coming towards her. And they're like saying weird stuff to her, whatever. She's freaking out. She starts panicking. And then the fog machine appears, and fog just starts billowing basically right on the side of the road. You can almost see the fog machine just dumping fog. And so they're yelling at her to get back to the RV. She starts running back to the RV. She makes it to the RV. She's pounding on the door to let them in, to get them to let her in. And she's like, just look, let me in, let me in. And then they cut to the view of the girls up in the front of the RV looking out halfway. She only made it halfway back to the RV. And then she stopped and turned, and now she's banging in thin air, yelling to be let in. So they're like, what the hell?
But they're hearing the bangs on
But they're hearing the bangs on the door of the RV, and they hear her yelling, but then they're seeing but they see her 20 feet in front of them. And the fog is rolling in, and the one girl, we'll call her the main girl, is like, let her open the door. And then the rich girl stops her. She's like, no. She goes, look. And they look in the mirror, and there's nothing at the side of the RV. And I'm like, she's not there. She's like, but what the hell is going on? And then the fog engulfs the girl, both out in the middle of the street and at the RV. You're seeing back and forth 2 cuts of her in these 2 different places at once. And then you just hear banging, screaming, chaos, and then silence. And so now they're freaking out in the RV, and and then the camera thing happens. They think they're on camera, whatever. And then dude wakes up, and they're like, what the hell? Well, they go to open up the door, and that chick is in pieces on the ground.
Yeah, and with her hand hanging.
With her hand, disembodied hand, hanging from the rail outside of the RV. And they're like, what the hell, man? Like, she wasn't here. We saw her. She wasn't here. So they're freaking out. So close the door. Homeboy's awake now. He thinks it's all a big joke, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. And he, like, bumps something, and all these books fall out, and it's like all these crazy Satanist, satanic books,
ritualistic books and stuff.
And
like that.
they're like, "What the hell is his uncle into?"
Yeah.
Like freaking out about stuff, and they're saying we can't get the RV to start, and he's like, "Find me tools." So he finds tools, and he like crawls underneath the dash. This is not how RVs work at all, and he like does stuff, and then he's like, "Okay, I got to get under the truck, or I got to go start up the truck." And they're like, "No, we can't go outside." And they're like, "Don't look down." And he's like, "Well," he's like, secretly this whole time he's an MIT. He's got a full ride to MIT. He's
for
like
an engineer.
He's a super genius.
Yeah.
That no one had any idea. Like none of these people like each other, and they comment on that they're always super shitty to each other. They should have never stayed friends after high school. Blah blah blah. Like they hate each other. They're real mean to each other. And so he goes outside, opens up the thing, starts messing around, telling them to start up the truck. They get it started, and then after a few seconds, it peters out, and it shows that they're out of gas. Well, they had 3 full jerry cans in this cage on the back of the RV. So, like, okay, they're out of gas. We're just going to get gas. Oh, so he drops his tools at his feet for some reason. He sets all of his tools down at his feet and starts messing around, and then he goes to grab his tools. His tools are gone. So he tucks down, and his tools are way halfway underneath the RV. So he's like, "Man, what the hell?" So he starts crawling under there, and just when something seems like it's about to happen to him, a knife comes flying out of nowhere into his hand. And then it gets drug out from underneath the RV, and it's the lead girl drug him back out. And he's like, "Oh," and then she pulls the knife out, wraps up his hand. And he's like, "Oh, we're out of gas. We got full cans." So they go in the back, they pop this lock, they get the gas. He goes to put gas back in it, but for some reason, the gas cap is melted. There was never a fire, so that never made any sense, but it's melted. He's like, "That's all right. We don't need to do that to put gas in, whatever." And did the girl go inside the RV? Yeah, the girl goes to go inside the RV,
the whole time
but the rich girl is inside freaking out, and she's screaming, and blood's coming out of her eyes and her ears, and she's screaming, and there's like the entity is at the door getting ready to come in, and then she's got this knife, and she wants stabbing out at the creature, and she stabs the main girl in the stomach. So now they're freaking out, like, "Oh my God, no!" And she sits down. The dude is still outside trying to figure out gas or whatever, and then they notice headlights from a car off in the distance. And they're like, "Oh my God." And he's like, "Oh, thank God." And he starts walking up the road towards this car. And he gets to about the same distance as the last girl. And then the car's headlights go away. And they're like, and now they're honking, yelling, telling him to get back in. And he starts running towards the RV. And then the car starts chasing him. And then it does a cut scene. And now the dude's laid up against those antlers that were on the hood of the thing. And he's done, and he's out. So now it's just the 2 girls. They're freaking out. They're trying to stay awake, and then the one girl passes out, and then she wakes up, and the rich girl starts strangling her. Well, then it cuts to a different view, and she's strangling herself, and the rich girl comes out of the bathroom freaking out, wakes her up, and then she's like, "Oh my God." She's like, "You were sleeping," and then she's like, "But I got to do this," and just starts knifing her up or whatever, and then she wakes up from that. So it's just all these screwed up mental games that are going on, and then she finally wakes up. Oh, dude, we completely I forgot. Sorry, I forgot altogether because it's how forgettable this freaking movie is. There was one other chick who was apparently like a cross-country runner.
Oh, yeah.
And she'd had like a torn something in her knee. And at one point she's like, "I'm going to go take off running." She's like, "I'm going to find us help." And she takes off running to go find him help. And then all this other stuff ensues. Now the dude's dead, and they're in this RV freaking out, and they're like, "We got to get the hell out of here." And then the lead girl moves, and she moves her hair, and she's got a pentagram tattooed on the back of her neck. And the rich girl starts freaking out about it. She's like, "Oh my God, you've got a tattoo." She's like, "What? It's a star." She's like, "When I was out drinking with some friends, I got a star tattoo." She's like, "That's a pentagram." And she's like, "Oh, it's just a star." And she's like, "No." And then mist starts filling up the RV. They're like, "We got to get the hell out of here." And the lead girl gets out. The rich girl stays in. The door slams shut. mist fills the thing. She's screaming, and then she's gone. And then she explodes.
Yeah.
So now it's like dawn, and the lead girl just takes off running through the woods. And at a certain point, she trips over the disembodied leg of the girl who'd taken off running.
Yep.
Because she went running with an axe.
The cross-country runner.
She'd take off running with an axe and a flashlight, and now the axe is laying there clearly where her leg was severed. And that's all you see of her. The girl keeps running. She makes it to the highway, and she's like, oh, thank God, and cars are going. And then that same big rig passes by, and she disappears. So,
roll credits.
Almost. Well, yeah, so they roll credits, so they start rolling credits, and then they cut to this other, like,
group of
SUV full of college kids going to blue light.
Yep.
Going blue light, blue light, blue light. And then now the RV is on the side of the road in the same spot that Challenger was.
Yeah.
And they were like, man, who just leaves their car on the side of the road?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, the boogeyman got
Yeah.
him. Oh. And then the movie's over.
Yep.
So I read one theory on Reddit
Okay.
that the uncle, whatever he saw, made him like try to research what he saw, and that's why the books were in there.
Okay.
Whoever said that forgot that it wasn't the rich girl's. It was the rich girl's uncle who saw it, not the dude who owns the RV.
Yeah.
So the dude who owned the RV, you never get an explanation as to why he had all these crazy books.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's endless unanswered questions and very poor script.
So whatever it was playing mind games, screwing with all of them. Don't Turn Out the Lights is a god-awful name because the lights had nothing to do with it.
No.
It's supposed to lead you to believe...
Blue Light would have been a better name.
It was the original name, and they changed it. So it leads you to believe, like, if you stay in light, you're safe.
Or that the movie's going to be dark in some capacity, but it wasn't dark.
The movie sucked so bad. You don't know what entity it was screwing with them. The only time you ever get a glimpse is when the girl, it's in the trailer, she's moving her hands, she's over the side of the window, and then these hands at the same speed are coming up, and they're all busted, gnarled fingers and fingernails, and then they touch, and then she freaks out, and that's when they start closing all the windows and stuff. That's it. It's the only visual you really get. And at one point you see like some hair. When the hand snipped down and it runs away, you see like it's almost like Troll's hair. It's like they didn't know what they wanted the creature or creatures to be. I thought it was going to be a Wendigo. Like I thought with everything in me it was going to be a Wendigo, and that's what I said. And your mom was like, "What?" I was like, "Wendigo, like the classic native story about the creature that mimics and eats human flesh." Like I thought that's what this was going to be. You never get an answer as to what the hell it's going to be, because then it's fog.
Yeah.
Because then fog is the evil entity, but fog wasn't the evil entity for the first couple of people to go.
No.
The whole thing made no sense. It was a terrible movie.
Yeah, it was bad.
Don't watch it. Even though some of my stuff was out of order, it's because I couldn't care less about any of these freaking characters.
That was like a 30-minute synopsis of the film, and that was pretty much wrapped it up in a nutshell.
So terrible.
Yeah, it just over the top, bad acting, not very good.
Dude, so
very unlikable characters.
So aggressively bad acting.
Yeah.
Like it's the most over the top.
Yeah.
Like overacting I think I've ever seen.
It
Normally in a movie you get like one or two overactors.
Yeah.
And that you get one Nick Cage and then a normal cast. I love Nick Cage, but he is the most overacted dude. Like I'm aware of him. Yeah. Like I'm very, very aware of who he is, but it's part of the charm for me. But you'll get one Nick Cage. Don't watch Long Legs. It is the worst Nick Cage film ever fucking made. But you'll get one of him, and then you'll get a cast full of normal people. But to be fair to him, because I will defend him even though I'm crapping on some of his stuff, in Five Nights, or the something Wonderland. It's basically it's a better version of Five Nights at Freddy's. Willy's Wonderland. He doesn't say a single word. And he doesn't overact with his facial expressions or anything else. Like he's just a dude. So good. In Con Air, other than his terrible Southern accent, he's not really overacting. He's pretty subtle in that movie.
Yeah, he's pretty subtle.
In The Rock, there's like two scenes where he gets kind of crazy, but it's kind of called for in the movie. But The Rock is so freaking good.
Gone in 60 Seconds.
Gone in 60 Seconds.
He's got a couple
great,
scenes where he's a little over the top, but,
but
that's
very few.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who does a lot of steroids and is a terrible actor.
A lot of steroids. We've established this.
So I know just there's
there's
a few things.
Dwayne.
There's a few things that I will throw out a lot. Dwayne's a terrible actor, and he's on all the juice.
All the juice.
And Long Legs is the worst film ever made.
He's only got one like ticket item, and that's that like stoic look that he does.
Covered in baby oil.
That's all he can do. In every movie.
Do you smell what the Rock is cooking?
They like write it into every single movie that he's in, or I'm assuming that it comes in his contract where he has to be that guy.
I have to never lose a fight.
Yeah, he never loses.
That's in his contracts. I will never lose a fight. He actually stole. I don't watch wrestling anymore, but I still watch enough people online that do watch wrestling. So there's a dude named Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I know Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns was supposed to be the champion, and The Rock like bought into whatever the hell it's called now, WWE, NCW, whatever the hell the federation's called. He bought into it, so now he's like a board member. And when he wrote himself in, Roman Reigns, I guess, according to what I've heard, I could be wrong, fact check me. They spent like 2 years building his story to where he'd be the champion, and then The Rock came in and stole it from him, wrote himself in to be the winner, and then it was so hated
What a nice guy.
that he had to write in a way for him to hand over the title or something crazy because people were pissed.
I bet.
So he's a terrible person. I don't like him. I think he's a terrible human, and he's a really good actor in the fact that he's convinced the world to think he's a great dude. Let's not forget he endorsed Joe Biden. So, Rock. Anyways, that's one terrible film down. Now we're getting into a mediocre movie. I didn't like it last night, and the more I thought about it today, I'm like, man, it was okay. Like, I'll never watch it again. But The Beast Within.
I palate cleansed.
The Beast Within.
Watch Fright Night.
Yeah, dude, Fright Night's so good.
It was so fun.
As soon as I heard I wasn't even watching. I heard the intro music, and I was like, I think it's Fright Night.
Yeah.
And then around the corner, and I see just the housing development, and I was like, ooh, Fright Night.
Yep.
Fright Night's so good.
Yep.
That
was fun.
I was like, oh, dude, watch Fright Night?
It was a good
and you're
palate.
like, yep. And I
it
was
a
like,
good palate cleanser.
Too bad it's like 11 o'clock. I need to go to bed.
It was fun to take a confusing monster film.
Dude,
and watch an actual monster
Jerry
film.
is such a good creature.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and it made me laugh the whole time too because they make fun of his name like a bunch of different
Jerry?
times. Jerry the Vampire.
yeah.
And it's funny because in what we do in the shadows, which we've been watching, they just introduced a new character and his name is Jerry. The Vampire. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Little Fright Night nod.
Yeah.
That
Jerry
movie
the
is
Vampire.
so freaking good, dude.
It was fun, man.
I like it more.
I
like it more than the original. And I love the original.
I haven't seen the original in forever, but I watched.
Dude, it holds up.
It's been a few years since I've watched Fright Night, but I forgot how much I enjoyed it.
Such a good.
It's just
film,
a fun
dude.
film. It's fun.
Vincent is the best.
Yeah.
Dude, I freaking love David Tennant's role in that.
Yeah, he's
especially when he's taking all of his stuff off.
Yeah.
And he's got his
pulling the
scotch.
facade out.
Yeah, he's got his scotch, and he's just like doing the David Tennant sway.
It looks
walk.
like he's drinking blue carousel the whole time.
Yeah,
because he's got like a blue drink that he pours and everything. And I'm like, is that blue carousel that this dude's just drinking?
Just chugging straight blue carousel. He smiles. He's got blue teeth.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. But I mean, it might have been hypnotic or something. I don't know. But it was like a blue drink.
Yeah, it was just meant for the appearance.
I know, but it had me on the edge of my seat trying to figure out what
Dude,
it was.
Dude, and Christopher Mintz-Plasse is so freaking funny.
Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
He's the best friend.
Oh, okay.
Who gets turned by Jerry.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
McLovin.
Okay. So, The Beast Within. Thoughts?
It's tough. It took a lot of think because I thought about the movie a lot after we watched it. Confusing.
Yeah.
To a degree. It felt like it was leading up to something way more like climactic than it ended up being, which was kind of a letdown.
Yep.
Just because there was so much build up to like this thing happening, and then this thing happens, and then they like dismiss it. And then the movie ends.
It is disappointing.
It really it made me go like, what
Very well acted disappointment.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought the casting was great.
The cinematography was
I love
fantastic.
the mom. I've never seen her in anything before, but I fell in love
she was
with her.
Great.
So I loved her. I want to see more of her. I thought she was awesome.
The dynamic with her and her daughter, really good. The grandfather, also really good. The dad was the only thing that felt out of place.
Yeah.
through the whole thing, he felt this disjointed. You never care about him.
Yeah.
Like the mom, you care about her.
But he's such a center
The
point to
daughter,
it. Yeah.
he's the center point,
Yeah.
and you don't care about him.
Yeah.
At least this is how I feel anyway.
No, I'm with you. I
Like,
agree.
I feel like he was such a disjointed member of the family. You get flashbacks, and then you get a few scenes of him with his daughter.
Yeah.
But then the other stuff you see, it's like this movie didn't know what it wanted to be, which is why it annoyed me last night, and then I thought about it more and more, and it annoys me a lot less today. I'll still never rewatch it.
No.
That was a one and done for me.
Yeah, I'm good.
But I wouldn't even say it's worth watching, in my opinion.
I don't think so.
It's not a werewolf movie, even though it's based on a werewolf. It's almost just an abusive husband movie. But they never explain why he's so aggressive and abusive the rest of the month. They don't give you like a insight, like, oh, this thing is so hard on him and it tears at his mind all month. They don't give you any of that. So you're in this like really beautiful rundown castle.
Yeah.
With these high walls everywhere. Like, it's really rad.
Yeah.
It's clearly run down.
Big double doors and everything.
But it's very secure.
What do you call when you have the wood lock? What do you call that? What kind of lock is that?
Oh, it's a beam.
I've always wanted that.
Damn
in
it,
my house.
it's a type of beam. I thought about putting one on the front door, but the way the front door was installed, when the house was redesigned, it doesn't really lend itself to one.
Yeah. I think those are super bitchin'. I've always wanted one in a house.
Door beam. So that's drop bar, security bar.
Okay.
There's got to be like an official name for what that's called.
I'm sure there is.
So drop bar, security door, drop open bar, security door.
Be pretty cool to have one though.
Dude, it'd be dope. Which is why I've
Especially
thought about
on a
doing
big double door gate.
Yeah,
that was cool.
So
made me think of Dracula.
It seems like it takes place in like the early 80s because of her headphones and some of the other things.
I was trying to figure out the time.
Yeah,
the time
like initially I thought it was like the 70s. Yeah, it's an old Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
Or an old, Range. So, but her headphones and a few of the other little items, it's clearly looks like maybe the early 80s is kind of where I place it.
Okay. I was thinking late 80s, early 90s.
Could be because you don't really ever see any other cars.
No.
So there's nothing else to place it.
No.
These people seem...
And the town that they go into is like...
It's a village. It's an old British village. They seem like they're very poor, but they're in like the most baller castle around. No one ever explains like
and I can't figure out what the husband does other than chop firewood.
Dude, yeah, like he chops down trees. Like that's all you ever see him doing is out with an axe. He's either being loaded up in this kick-ass old Land Cruiser with a pig in a cage, wearing a wolfskin cloak.
Really badass cloak.
Yeah, dude, that cloak was dope.
Yeah,
like it looks just like Jon Snow's because it's played by Jon Snow. And he looks like he's wearing Jon Snow's cloak when he's on the wall. And then Lord Mormont from the Night's Watch is his father-in-law in this show. So it's really cool seeing those two come back together after Game of Thrones. But so they load this dude up. The little girl's got like oxygen tank, clearly has something that keeps her from breathing well. Once a month, they load the dad up in the back of this truck with a pig on a rope.
Yep.
They drive off, and the little girl watches them drive through these roads into the woods. They drop off the husband. The truck comes back. They lock down like a compound. The little girl's very jumpy. They do this a bunch throughout the movie.
Yeah, they do it like 5 times.
Yeah, and you never see the werewolf. And
you see him turning once.
Yeah, you see him like he's clearly having a nightmare or something. The little girl woke him up. She turned around and like his face is kind of distorted. The mom and the daughter go into town. The mom buys the daughter like a really nice little dress. The dad freaks out that they left. He's clearly very possessive. And the mom's all bruised up because they show her changing. It's like, well, why is she bruised? And it's like he's clearly abusive or whatever. but they don't explain why he's abusive outside of wolf form. Like in wolf form, you can understand it.
But outside of it, they don't explain it.
Yeah.
No.
Like
they don't give him very
so
much.
He explains
story arc.
at one point he takes the daughter out to where he chains himself up. Where his wife chains him up.
Well, she snuck out with them.
Well, she snuck out and followed him one night and saw him getting chained up, and then nothing changes or whatever they say to each of their little mantra.
Yeah,
she's shackling him up, and then like the dad gets really angry with the mom. They fight because she went out of town, and like she keeps like different change of clothes underneath the seat. He freaks out, gets like super angry.
Yeah, smacks a sandwich out of her
hand.
Which was crazy. That was such a wild scene. Yeah,
shut the fuck up.
I was like, man, what a waste of a sandwich.
Yeah, dude. So like he goes through moments of being like a really awesome dad to his daughter, but really aggressive.
Yeah,
like when he was like, bow, like he gets pretty damn aggressive, very possessive.
You can tell there's something underneath the surface.
Yeah. Like so. The father-in-law tries to take the daughter off one night, and they tell him to kick rocks and move out. Shows back up on her birthday, brings her a beautiful Belgian Shepherd, which got a special place in my heart. And like, I don't know, there's no real frame of reference other than when they take him off once a month.
Yeah.
Like the timing's kind of weird.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cut scenes. You're not getting a lot of conversation. There's not a lot of talking in this movie.
Not a lot of dialogue.
And so now the dad's back, and the dad's like, you need to leave. He's a terrible human. He's a terrible guy, blah, blah, blah. He takes the daughter to show him where he gets shackled up, tells a story about his grandfather killing his grandmother by accident because she followed him out to the woods because he knew he was changing, but he always kept it a secret. He'd take himself way out into the woods by himself for the night, and then the next day he'd come home. Well, the grandma was like thinking he was out sleeping with another woman, so she followed him one night and she got et.
Yeah.
And then he woke up, realized what he'd done, went home and offed himself.
Yep.
And he goes, my father told me that story. He's like, and I don't have I'm a coward. I can't do that. I can't live life without you two. And he breaks down. The little girl goes and comforts him. But then you see more abusive nonsense and whatnot for no reason whatsoever. And they take him out. They shackle him up. They go back home. And this night, somehow he broke free.
Which isn't explained.
Which is not explained at all because that shackle is for real.
Yeah.
And
he's like, so he's shackled, locked in a separate dungeon area.
Yeah.
And then the house is locked down.
And he's like hell and gone from there.
Yeah, and he managed to break through all of that and make it back to the house, which is crazy.
Yep. So
you would think that when you're in werewolf form, you're animalistic. You're not going to have
you're just gonna
senses.
Be free roaming.
Yeah,
dude.
you're not gonna go straight back to where you. I don't know.
Especially when there's a pig there. There's no reason to go back to a place and hunt it down.
Yeah.
Like if anything else, you go into town. So
yeah, when it started to get to the climax of the film, it really started to fall apart
for
me
quickly.
Yeah.
So the granddad locks everything down with the mom.
Gets a gun.
And he's got a gun. And they're freaking out because the banging of the big doors. And he goes, oh, it's just the wind because there's a storm. But it's clearly the freaking dad banging at the doors, which makes no sense. A wolf wouldn't sit there and bang at doors.
No. He'd be scaling walls.
So the daughter gets pissed when she sees her dad's got a gun. She's, show me the gun, show me the gun, show me the bullets. And he's like, oh, it's for protection. And then something happens to the gun. You don't see what happens to the gun.
No, you do. So she runs outside to check on the doors.
Yeah.
And she drops the gun out front and leaves it.
Okay.
And leaves it out front. Because she goes to get the oxygen tank, and then she goes on that.
That's another issue I've got.
Yeah.
The little girl's got a problem breathing. She wakes up panicking in the middle of the night because she's got this nightmare, and she can't breathe. And she knocks over a tank, gets to it, opens it up, and she's almost out of oxygen.
It's empty.
Why would you have your spare gas outside of your giant home, way out in just the corner of like a garage?
Yeah.
It wasn't even like in the garage.
No.
It was off to the side.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Like what? So okay.
It's like that was written in there specifically for her to go outside.
She could have gone outside for any.
I agree.
Like she
I
could have
agree.
just like.
But all of that happened at in the same time. So she goes out to get the oxygen tank, runs to check on the gate, drops the gun, grabs the oxygen tank, runs back inside. But that all takes like a while. Like
she stops.
She's at the gate,
She
banging
stops
on the gate
to bang on the gate and tell him to go away.
Yeah.
It's like your little girl can't breathe. She's
Yeah.
out of oxygen,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
gonna stop
Yeah.
and go to the gate
Yeah.
and tell a freaking wolf
Yeah.
to piss off.
Yeah.
Like, no, dude. I was like, dude, what are you doing, woman? Your daughter's dying.
That was rough.
So she finally picks up the tank. I didn't realize that's when she dropped the gun.
Drops the gun.
Gets back up there, hook up the tank. The dude makes it through the gate. The dad goes downstairs, trying to keep the door, keeps them, dude, run upstairs, stay upstairs. And then gets in, there's a scuffle. The dad's all banged up. And
Gets impaled on the antlers.
Yeah, gets impaled by antlers, kind of a running thing.
Yeah.
And
movie to movie.
so they sneak out of the house and they take off and they wind up back at the freaking place where they kennel this dude once a month.
Yeah.
And then
Somehow.
Yeah.
On foot.
And then the
which
wolf
is wild.
and then the wolf shows up and the mom's like hugging on him and she's calming him down. And he's like real mellow now. And she's just like looking at her mom and this werewolf dad. And the mom turns around and she's like to the daughter. And then the dad just like pulls up and just starts clawing. And they had a lantern and it fell and there's a fire going at her feet. So then she takes her oxygen, sets it down to the fire. It's now lit. And then she just opens it. And it douses the dad and sets the werewolf on fire. And the mom's all clawed up. And they start backing off. And then they take off. And he's like, werewolf, I'm on fire. So then they cut to the next scene. The house is empty. They're loading all of their possessions into this little bitty Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
Little Defender. It's not that big, but everything they need's in it because they're leaving this place. And the little girl's walking up to her mom, who's finishing loading up the truck, and she just kind of stops at the corner of the house and she's looking at her mom. And then they cut back to the scene that you just finished watching, and they replay it, but now it's in a point of view where the dad is in human form. The mom's on the ground. He's kicking her in the ribs. And then he turns around to his daughter and he calls her little monster.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey, little monster." And then she sets him on fire. And then it cuts back to them getting into the truck and like driving off.
Yeah.
Which left me to question, like, were they like, was he never a werewolf? Like, was it like her mind making up something to like, my dad turns into a monster and then like, but then you're like, well, wait, no, that can't be it because they take him off and cage him with a freaking pig once a month. Like
during a full moon.
So like clearly she was humanizing her dad in that last minute, which seems even darker because now you've set your human father on fire.
Yeah.
Even if he was being abusive to your mother. And then even how that was happening doesn't, I don't know, just the whole thing, the movie was unnecessary for me. I dislike it less now that I've thought about it, but I still don't love it or particularly care for it.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Like, it's
kind of a mess.
So ambiguous.
Yeah.
Like, which seems to be like it's twice that I've just screwed the pooch on picking a movie.
It's all right. Can't all be winners.
Dude. Well,
Some
it's
of them
actually
are
3
bad.
times, bro, because
Some of them
Long
are
Legs,
bad.
the worst movie ever made, had me tricked. But I had the world fooled, apparently, because there are still people
that think it's great.
Which are retarded people.
Yeah.
So today I was doing one of these numbers and I was praying that I pick a movie that, because I've been wanting to watch movies none of us have seen before. And I was like, just please don't be god awful. So A Knock at the Cabin, M. Night Shyamalan. Most of his movies are trash.
Yes.
I didn't know the entirety of this movie, but I did know a little bit of the premise.
Okay.
Which is why I wanted to watch it.
Okay.
I had yet to hear anything bad, but I really hadn't heard much good. I'd only heard a little bit of the premise.
Okay.
And the premise was fascinating to me. Like, that is my kind of, I'm like, dude, I want to check this out. So, if The Beast Within sounds good to you, check it out. I think it was kind of terrible. So, but not as bad.
Very slow movie, too.
Yeah, very slow. It's
Very slow.
agonizingly slow. So, knock at the cabin. Starts off with two dads and a young Asian girl that they adopted, that they lied to adopt, are vacationing in this beautiful cabin in the middle of nowhere. They never explain where they are. They're just in the middle of nowhere. And this little girl is out catching grasshoppers and putting them in a jar, and she's cataloging these grasshoppers. She's giving them names, color, their color, what their attitude's like, if they're a boy or a girl. Like, she's really like into learning things clearly. Very intelligent young girl. And as she's doing this, you see a man walking up the road towards her, and it's Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista before he lost all the weight. So he's still big ass Dave Bautista. And he comes walking up, nice button up, short sleeve shirt, glasses, looking like a nice, normal gentleman. Walks up and starts talking to her.
Just a big old tattooed
Just
guy.
a big, yoked out, tatted up dude.
Yeah.
And looks like he gets paid to beat dudes up for a living.
Seriously.
So he starts talking to this girl. She's like, I don't talk to strangers. He goes, that's fair. What's your name? I'm Leonard. What are you doing? Catching grasshoppers? Are you a natural? Like, can I help you? And so she starts catching grasshoppers with him. And he goes, I brought you a gift. He goes, I brought you this flower. He goes, if you don't like it, maybe we can play a game with it. And she goes, what? What do you mean? He goes, well, we can pull petals off of it, ask each other questions, and become better friends. And she's very leery this whole time, but she's like, okay. So they start asking each other questions, and she goes, why are you here? And he goes, I'm sorry. He goes, there's a very special decision that we have to make, and we have to make it together. So at this point, she mentions she's got two dads, and he goes, okay, well, your dads and you and me, we have a very important decision to make. And she's like, okay. And then now there's three more people walking up the road. And she goes, are those your friends? He goes, they're my associates. He goes, you're my friend. He goes, I'm sorry this has to happen. I'm sorry this has to happen to you. But there's a very special decision that has to be made. So she starts taking off towards the house. And he goes, please convince them to let us in. This will go, we really need to come in and talk. So she runs in the house. She goes through the cabin, out back. Her two dads are out back. And she's like, come inside. There's a big guy named Leonard. He wants to come in. He's got friends. They're very scary. And they're like, what's going on? What do you mean? It's like, dude, you're in the middle of nowhere. If your kid just comes in and says there's someone outside, maybe pay attention. Yeah. So they go in the house and they close all the doors. And there's a knock at the door. And it's Leonard, big ass Dave Bautista, saying, hey, I'm sorry to bother you. My name's Leonard. We need to talk, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, they look out the window and they're like, he's huge. Yeah. And he's very polite. He's being very nice. He's talking and he's like, we're sorry to bother you. This is very important. Can you please let us in? It'd be easier to have a conversation inside together than out here like this through a door. And one of the other guys is running around. She's like, let's just come in. Let's go in. He's like, calm down, calm down. So now they're freaking out. They're running around, making sure all the windows are closed, doors are locked, blah, blah, blah. And Leonard starts walking around the cabin. Well, then it gets to the point where they're done talking, so they come in through the house. And they get the two dudes. One guy falls, concusses himself, ties them up to chairs, and there's four people that come in the house, and they got these crazy weapons that are clearly handmade, like an axe with knives on it, and a big axe with a pitchfork head on it also, a sledgehammer head hanging from a chain from a giant handle that's got like an axe or something on the other end of it.
Had like a boat hook on it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the boat hook on it. So like some pretty wild looking stuff. So now you got four
cool weapons.
Yeah, very cool. Very creative. So now you got four people, one of them being the giant man, Dave Bautista. Yeah. Like, I can't say that enough. This dude's imposing.
Yeah.
So.
Wearing really tight jeans.
Very tight jeans. Very tight shirt.
Yeah.
Lots of tattoos.
Yeah.
Sharpay head.
Yeah.
So they got these guys tied up and they start talking. And he goes, sadly, there's a decision that has to be made, and you guys have to make it. We can't make it for you. We can't do anything, but you need to make this decision. And they're all being very calm, very polite, except for one dude, Rupert Grant, Ron Weasley. And like, you picked up on that quick too when they were walking over. You're like, is that Ron Weasley? I'm like, yes, it is.
I picked up on it quick. Yeah.
So
I'm pretty good at that sometimes.
So he's being very impatient,
I got
very
the Mindhunters
angry.
guy too.
Yep, and because I was like, damn it, I know this guy, and
Yeah.
you're like, Mindhunters? I'm like, yes. So it's the dude who came up with if you've watched Mindhunters, amazing show, got canceled way too early.
Yeah, I did.
About how the FBI came up with their way to identify serial killers and categorize them and build their profiles. So he's one of the dads. Never seen the other guy.
Me neither.
And then the little girl. So they're talking, and they start introducing themselves, these 4 strangers, to these people that are tied to chairs. And they start talking about these visions that they've all shared, that they're all having. And they're all completely different walks of life from very different parts of the country. And they all met each other, came here, and this is where they were told to come. And that there'd be people here, and the people here had to make this decision. They had no idea who would be here. And so they're like, what the hell are you talking about? They're like, you're going to have to decide amongst yourselves to sacrifice one of yourselves, and you have to make the decision to willingly do this to save humanity. And they're like, what? They're like, there will be plagues. And then they go into this, they start explaining these visions they've been getting that, there will be all these major storms taking out, huge cities, and that the sky would fall like shards of glass, and God's fingers would touch the ground and light it on fire and set everything ablaze. He goes, if you guys don't decide to end one of yourselves, and you guys have to decide this, then the world will end, and you will be the only people walking the face of the earth, because everyone else will be gone. So now these people are faced with this crazy ass dilemma to listen to these people. And they're all being very polite and very talkative and stuff. And they're all introducing each other, introducing themselves. Hi, I'm so-and-so. This is where I'm from. This is what I do. This is what brought me here. And they're like, okay, will you decide, what do you choose? And they say no. And then Ron Weasley starts freaking out. And he's like, okay, very calmly freaking out. And he kneels in front of them. And he's crying. And he's like, now I'm scared. And he takes out this white hood. And he starts putting over his head. And he looks at them. And he goes, you look at me. You don't look away from me. Don't blink. You keep watching me. And he pulls the hood down. And he goes, what did he say? Part of
humanity
has been punished, or will be
something like that.
Yeah,
Something
part of
like that.
humanity will be punished.
Yeah.
And the other 3 stand behind him and whack him. And then Dave Bautista, he goes, I'm going to put a blanket on him so no one has to see him. And then he takes him outside. So now the dudes are like freaking out now. And they're like, we said, we're not here to hurt you. We can't force your decision. You have to make your decision. But you need to watch this. And they turn on the TV, and he goes, I'm sorry, we're going to have to change the channel. And he changes the channel to some cooking show with M. Night Shyamalan, cooking chicken with this new chicken cooker. And then breaking news pops up, and there's this tsunami warning, and the tsunami hits, and it's like taking out Hawaii and Japan, and then and part of California, and then that triggers this insane, like an earthquake or something, and it's just like
Right
devastation.
off the coast of Portland.
Yep, and it's just devastation. And they're like, wow, and the one dude is a lawyer and like thinks he's the smartest dude in the room, and he's like, oh, this is happening because we're gay. You guys are targeting us. I recognize that dude. He attacked me in a bar several years ago. This was all planned. You're only attacking us because of who we are and what we are. And they're like, that couldn't be further from the truth. Like, we don't know you. We didn't know you were going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
We were just in our vision. This is where we had to go. And they're like, we don't hate anybody. And the one lady's a nurse. The other lady is a cook. And he's a teacher. He's a second grade teacher and an athletics director. And like, they're all super kind, super friendly. And they're all like getting really teared up telling their stories. And they're basically vying for these people to believe them to save their loved ones. Like, so Dave Bautista's like, I teach all these kids, like, I want to see them, like, I don't want them to die. And then the line cook's like, I'm a mother, I don't want my son to die. And the nurse is like, I'm an older sister. Like, so they're all basically trying to bring you an argument, like, please choose so all of humanity can live. And it's such a great premise. Like, I love this premise. Because a lot of people go, well, if you know, I think even the Joker or someone in Batman brings it up. Like, you know, would you sacrifice one child to save an entire town? Like, would you sacrifice one bus of children to save a nation? Like, I don't remember what movie it was. There was a movie that it's a premise that's been brought up in several movies, and people bring it up too. Like, how many good people would you be willing to sacrifice to save a larger number of people? So I think it's a really fun premise. So the dude's freaking out. He's like, all right, get some sleep. Tomorrow you have another decision to make. They go to sleep, wake up the next day, and they start asking questions again. And the line cook lady who just cooked breakfast for the little girl is like, I've got a son. I did not want to speak his name, but it's very important to me. Please make the right decision. I'm going to be clear with you. I'm next if you guys say no. And they both say no. So she kneels down, puts on her thing. They whack her. Dave Bautista carries her to a bed. And now they're really freaking out. They turn on the TV. And now there's what was that? Planes dropping out of the sky.
No, the plague was next.
Oh, that's right. So there's a plague. And the dude, again, just starts running his mouth. So the concussed guy, when they were getting ready to sacrifice the first dude, he saw this crazy light, and I noticed it too, but there's a reflection of light and everything on the wall, and there's like, he sees a figure. So he, this whole time, has been getting like, he's been slow to say no, and he's been thinking about all this. The other dude is very quick to say, hell no, like, me and my family are going to walk the earth together with no one else on it. Like, I'm cool with that. He was okay with sacrificing humanity. Doesn't believe a second of any of this stuff. So the plague hits, and he notices that it doesn't look live. He's thinking that all this stuff was timed out, and it's this big inside conspiracy because they're gay guys, and he's convinced it's hatred. The whole time he's convinced it's hatred. And so they wound up escaping. Like, they wound up pulling off some shady stuff because the little girl gives the one dude a knife, and he starts carving his rope, tells her to pull off some stunt when he tells her to. And the other dude, he's like, man, my ropes are getting loose. I think I can get my hands out of here. So he's carving away the rope, and he tells the little girl to pull off some stuff. She starts throwing a fit, and they start trying to calm her down. Dave Bautista's trying to calm her down. So is the other lady. And at that time, the dude cuts his ties free, grabs up one of the weapons, starts trying to swing it. The other guy gets his hands free, unties his legs, sneaks out front, books it to the truck, starts unlocking the truck, and the lady chases him outside. He gets in the truck. She starts trying to get into him because he's got a gun out in the back of the truck. He's trying to open up this stupid safe. If he'd had a stop box, it would have been a lot quicker to get into.
Yeah.
So he's fumbling with this thing. She breaks the window with her big weapon, and she's like, I don't want to hurt you. And he's ignoring her. So he's just like, drop what you're doing. And she's got a knife on like one end of on the back end of her thing. So she starts kind of stabbing him. And he's back there. He gets his magazine, starts fumbling with the bullets, trying to load up some bullets, gets a few of them in there, and then comes back and shoots and misses her. And he's like, all right, back up. And then she backs up and she takes off running. So he gets in the house. He's got a couple of bullets in his gun. gets inside, gets Dave Bautista. The woman comes running through the back door, and he shoots her. She's down. And so Dave Bautista goes, make your choice. They both say no, and they're like, don't do this. So he goes over, finishes his ritual, puts her into another bed. And he goes, you guys are running out, the world, humanity, part of humanity has been judged. Another plague has been released. So he goes, don't believe me, watch the TV. And while the one dude's still arguing with him because it's all about hatred, the other dude turns on the TV, and now it's airplanes falling out of the sky and big storms coming up.
Hundreds of airplanes.
Hundreds. Yeah, it's like over 700 airplanes just falling out of the sky all across the world. And they're like, what the? He was like, it's another plague. And then the other dude repeats what he said. He goes, the sky will fall like shards of glass, and God will touch the earth and light it ablaze. And then the other dude smashes the TV. He goes, you don't believe this trash. He's like, get in the bathroom. So lock him in the bathroom. And the two dudes are out there talking, and you hear the window break in the bathroom. So now they're like, crap. Like, he could be out there. He could be waiting for us by the truck. He could be there to hurt us, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, he hasn't hurt anybody yet. Like, he's been very chill outside of tying them up. He's not harmed anybody other than the other people he came with. So, like, I'm going to open up the bathroom door. If I see you, I'm going to shoot you. It's not a lot of incentive for him to say, yeah, come on in. So he opens the door, and it's a little round window. Dave Bautista's a big boy. He didn't fit through that.
No.
There's a shower with a shower curtain. And the dude's like getting ready to pull the shower curtain. It's like, well, dude, he's obviously in there. He pops one round through it and then goes to move it. And then Dave Bautista tackles him, wrestles away the gun, throws the other dude one-handed.
Yeah.
Gets the gun away and gets them out into the living room. And he's like, all right, can we go outside? And they're like, what? And he's like, well, I want to do this last part outside. And they're like, okay. So they tell the little girl to put on her headphones. There's a tree house. They say, go hang out in the tree house until one of us comes get you. Just put in your music. So she takes off. So he sits down in a chair, a rocking chair on the back patio. And he was like, okay. He goes and he says their names. And he was like, my friends. And he pulls a knife out of his boot. And he's just sitting there holding this knife. They're like, what are you going to do? And he was like, my friends, please make a decision. And they just look at him. And then he pulls up the knife and falls out. And then the camera pans back to the two dudes kind of panning upwards looking at him. And just then this giant like tornado cloud basically opens up in the sky behind him. And then you see a plane falling out of the sky all crazy. And they're like, oh no. And so they both go inside. And because he goes, you've only got a couple of minutes after I do this. And he goes, part of the world has been judged, and then pulls. But they're like, we've got a couple of minutes. And the one dude who had the concussion, who's been kind of slow to say no to all of this, is finally like, no, like I'm going to do this. Like, I'm at peace. I'm going to do that. Like, I'm okay with this. Like, the world needs to continue on. And the other dude's still angry. He's still like, no, the rest of the world hates us. They all suck. They're all evil. It's all. The only annoying part about this movie for me was that the whole world hates gay people. That refrain was super annoying to me. It's like, okay, like, no, that's not true. Like, one dude hits you with a beer bottle once, and now the whole world just hates you because you're gay. Most of the world doesn't care. So he just like, he's ready to watch the world burn because a couple of people feel that way. And the other dude's like, no, man, I'm cool. Like, I'm good with this. Like, do it while I'm still thinking about the future of our daughter and how amazing it's going to be and blah, blah, blah. So then he finally does it, pulls the trigger. His dude's now dead. And he goes outside and he goes up in the treehouse with his daughter, hugs her, and they just cry. And she goes, did he save the rest of humanity? And he just kind of nods, gets up in there and lays down with her. So the storm ends. They go out, they walk up the road, and they find the pickup truck that they all came in. They get in the truck, they drive into town, stop at this little diner, go in, and the diner is full of people, and they got news on. And all of the storms calm down, airplanes are now landing safely, and the plague has stopped, and they haven't had a single death in almost 2 hours. And you're just like letting it all sink in. And then they go back out to the truck, and there's all these backpacks in the back, and you see a diploma or a championship like certificate framed, signed by all these kids with Leonard's name on it. And then you see another backpack that's got the ID badge for the nurse. And then you see another backpack, and you pull out a picture of her and her son. And then he goes to sit in the driver's seat, and there's an ID for the other guy up there. So none of them were lying. They all were who they said they were. All random people from completely different parts of the world, and they just saved the world. Like, I kept waiting for the M. Night Shyamalan twist of like, oh, just kidding, it was all CCTV or something stupid. I really enjoyed the fact that it was exactly what it said it was going to be. I think the acting was done very well. It was really interesting seeing all these people play it straight and trying to convince someone to make the hardest decision you could possibly make to save the world. Like, I really dug it. That's one I could see myself watching again.
Okay.
It wasn't overly, like, you didn't really see any of the gore. There was very little of that you could ever see. It was pretty chill. Like, definitely like a PG-13 kind of movie.
Yeah, I think it was PG-13.
Not a hard R or anything. Yeah. There's nothing too crazy. It wasn't like the terrifying thing I was expecting it to be, but it was really good. I myself was never tense, but I was very, like, in it.
Engaged.
Like, I was very engaged in it. Very entertaining. I feel good about that movie. What are your thoughts?
I thought it was all right. The story to me was a little like, I don't want to say off, but like, it was hard for me to like really dive into it. I've seen like the apocalypse thing so many different times that it's just like not played out, but like, just, I guess it's just not my cup of tea. Like the whole like gospel, like Armageddon type deal, but the reveal of them being the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Well, this wasn't even like a gospel version.
No, I know, but it was. I liked that reveal at the end. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was like the little M. Night Shyamalan twist.
Where they each were actually represented.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. As they're discussing him being okay with going out, he goes, "Don't think about it." He goes, "They all represent." He goes, "Leonard represents guidance." He goes, "They represent humanity." He represents guidance. The first dude represented wrath. The other one represented nurturing. And the other one represented like care.
Something like that.
Like the nurse represented like caring for people. So yeah, the mom represented because she was feeding people. That's what she loves, to feed people, because it's more than just feeding somebody. So she's the nurturing side of humanity. She goes, they didn't come here to harm us. They came here to spend time with us.
Yeah. And we had to watch them die.
And we had to watch that part of humanity die in order to be willing to save it. So you had to watch guidance go. And that's all he was trying to do, was guide people his entire life. You had to watch the nurturing side go. You had to watch the caring side go. And you had to watch wrath go. Because wrath was the first to go.
Yeah.
So if you really think about it, wrath went, then the nurturing went, then the caring went, then the guidance went, and then that left you with nothing.
Yeah,
you're hollow. So all the good of humanity is gone. Like, it's really deep when you really start to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but yeah, he was like, think about it, that the 4 horsemen. Like, yeah, I really dug it. Anyways,
that was cool. It was a cool little. I liked that little reveal at the end. That was fun. I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. I would watch it again.
Yeah, like, that's one that in a couple of years I'll probably come back to.
I wish it was a little bit more gory.
I'm with you. I thought it was going to be.
I thought it was going to be too.
Especially because the cover art,
the way that they play,
with them standing, you just see them from the back with holding their crazy weapons. I was like, "Ooh, this is gonna get good."
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like a slasher at the cabin.
I thought to a
It's
degree,
just the name of the like back at the cabin and whatever.
and then you see them all holding weapons.
Yeah.
Like I thought for sure it was going to be a little closer to like a Strangers kind of
Yeah.
thing.
I guess the twist was the whole movie.
Yeah, the whole thing. Like, but it's also based on a book, so it's not an
Okay.
M. Night Shyamalan original.
Okay.
But he's only got a couple of really good originals anyway. Signs, fantastic.
Signs is great.
Unbreakable,
Unbreakable's
amazing.
awesome.
Sixth Sense,
Sixth
fantastic.
Sense is good.
Split,
Split was fun.
so good. And I never watched Glass.
I didn't see it either.
So I think I've seen pieces of it because I think Daniel was watching it a while back when it
Okay.
first dropped. And like I saw part of like a fight scene, I think. I don't know. Split was really good and Unbreakable was really good.
Mhm.
I don't know why I never finished off the trilogy, but I had a feeling I was going to be underwhelmed.
Okay.
So I was like, is this going to be any good? Like, because they never really showed the Beast and Split very well. Like, they
Yeah.
show him climbing the wall and doing some wild
Mhm.
stuff. But I don't know. I just never tried.
That actor's really cool too. I like that guy.
Yeah, dude,
Guy that
James
plays the Beast,
McAvoy.
James
Dude,
McAvoy.
he's a
Yeah.
killer,
Yeah, he
dude.
is.
And everything. I love the roles he's
Does
picked.
great in X-Men.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Professor X. Yeah, everything he's ever done has always been really fun.
Those are some big shoes to fill too.
Dude,
play
yeah,
Professor
Patrick
X.
Stewart.
Yeah. Fuck that. If I was an actor, I would not want to be like, oh, I'm gonna play his character.
Yeah, let me just step in on this one real
That's
quick.
like playing Joker after Ledger. Like
Yeah,
the idea of it's got to be so hard to do as an actor.
yeah, like which is why no one's really done it well.
No.
Like you had, so in Gotham, the redhead from damn it, the gentrified show. Damn it, dude. The one about the crazy family where the dad's an alcoholic and it's a bunch of kids running around.
Is it a show?
Yeah.
Like a sitcom?
I mean, it's kind of a dark sitcom. It's
Shameless?
Shameless.
Okay. I did, honestly,
you.
I was just like, I can't believe that I got that right on the first try because I didn't know what you were talking about.
Well,
I just threw
I
something
remember
out there.
on a lot of the movie or like a lot of the season posters,
Yeah.
they'd spray paint gentrify this and
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
So it's like gentrify.
Yeah.
So Shameless, the redheaded brother,
Yeah.
well, looks a lot
Yeah.
like
He
Andrew
plays the Joker, right?
in Gotham.
In
And then after they revealed those couple of episodes of his character, they were like, well, he's not really the Joker.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, okay, well then what the hell was that? Because he's got the smile for it,
Yeah.
but otherwise it wasn't great.
Okay.
But yeah, 30 Seconds to Mars sucked as Joker.
Yeah, I didn't like that. at all.
But he sucks in everything except for that one movie that we watched about the serial killer
Yeah,
that
that was
wasn't
a
about
good
a
one.
serial killer.
That was a good one.
And
The Little Things.
the little things, and I liked him in damn, I just completely blanked the
Requiem
movie.
for a Dream.
Dude, I watched that. I don't remember it.
Oh, okay. It's trippy.
No, he was in Lord of War,
Oh yeah.
which
he was.
in and of itself is like it's a good movie, but
it's another Nick Cage movie
but
I
it's
can tolerate.
such a long movie
Yeah,
that
it
it's
is.
hard to like really enjoy. More than like once every couple of years.
Okay.
But it was really good. I mean, I own it. I bought
I love
it.
the opening scene. In
But
that.
oh,
It's
it's
fun.
so
When they're
great.
following the bullet.
Yeah.
It's just cool.
But
With
he
the
was
manufacturing and
really
everything.
good as the brother in that.
Yeah. The cokehead brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He draws out their country.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know we left it when we were kids, but I still remember. But yeah, like he's done some stuff that I liked, but overall, he just goes too far, man. He just gets a little out there.
He's an out there person. He's a character.
That he is.
Yeah, he's very, very out there.
Well,
I think that's the best way to put it.
the other person who's like that is Giovanni Ribisi.
Who's that?
Giovanni Ribisi is, I'll pull up the picture because you'll know exactly who he is when I show you. Because his name does not sound like that's him.
Okay.
Giovanni Ribisi.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He's been in everything.
I just watched Gone in 60 Seconds last night.
Yeah. He plays his younger brother.
Kip.
So he was.
I love him in Ted 2 and Ted.
Oh yeah, when he kidnaps Ted.
When he does his little dance move, it's my favorite thing in the world.
A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Yep.
Well, I do, but you still haven't watched Boiler Room.
No, you keep
And
talking about it.
That's so good. I love that movie. Sneaky Pete, he crushed in that show.
I don't think I saw that.
So Sneaky Pete, now that we're done talking about the stuff we've watched, and spoiling the shit out of all of them, going through them. But I needed people to understand the first two were really not worth watching. The third one was fun. I really enjoyed the third one.
I thought it was fun.
But Sneaky Pete, he's a con man, like a professional con man who gets out of prison. And while he was in prison, he was in with, was it the Money Train dude? Money Train, the guy that's got crazy TDS, who's also now voting for Donald Trump.
What's TDS?
Trump derangement syndrome. No, that was also Woody Harrelson.
Is that a real thing?
Oh yeah, dude. People who hate Trump and freak out about Trump just because he's Trump.
Okay.
Oh yeah, dude. You can look up TDS sufferers and there's like crazy blue-haired women crying in their car and like yelling and dropping to their knees when Trump got elected in 2016. I shit you not, dude.
That's pretty funny.
Like TDS is the reason that the entire world talks so much shit about Trump
Okay.
without any real basis. Like, oh, he's racist. Well, what makes you say that? Like, to say that about someone, you need to have some pretty damning evidence.
Yeah.
Well, he just is. He doesn't care about black people. Well, what makes you say that? Is it the fact that he gave funding for an extended period of time to historic black colleges when the first black president didn't do it? Because the first black president didn't do that for his own people. Is it all of the jobs that he's given? Is it the fact that his golf course and all the golf courses he's ever been a member of, he only became a member of because he forced change to allow black people and Jews to golf at golf courses that never allowed blacks or Jews? So he fought to get those things to happen, but he did it because he's racist. Like it just, people who just say insane shit without any facts to back it up, that's TDS. And people who actively like want him, like people cried when he didn't die with the first assassination attempt. I shit you not, bro. You can go on there and look. You can see people freaking out. Oh, they missed.
I believe you.
Well, dude, fucking Tenacious D ended as a group because of that.
Really?
Did you not hear this?
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, dude. Right after the first, because you know Trump got shot in the ear, and everyone was like freaking out about it. Like even Joe Rogan has now been like, "Yeah, dude, you've got a mark on your ear," like, because people still think that whole thing was fake. It's like, okay, whatever, believe what you want.
I don't think
so. You're allowed to believe that was fake, and I'm not allowed to believe that the media skewed people so they didn't vote for Trump in 2020. I'm the crazy person.
Well, duh.
But you're not.
Yeah.
Like, get the hell out of here, bro.
Yeah.
Like, bullets went flying. People were there. Other people got shot and died. Yeah. And a few other people were seriously injured. So that was staged. Get that. And people believe that Trump is so evil that he allowed another man to die to take a bullet to the ear or pretend to take a bullet to the ear. Like, they think the whole thing was staged.
How do you stage a bullet to the ear though? If you miss by an inch, if you're gonna stage a shot, you're not gonna do it in the ear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's already been like all of the gun tubers have already like replicated this.
Yeah, you're not gonna.
And
you're gonna stage something else.
Yeah.
Not
like,
the ear shot.
No.
I would rather stage a center
you
mass
imagine
shot.
Risking that?
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
that's exactly what I'm saying. You missed that by an inch.
Hey, who's the best shot? Steve? Hey, Steve.
Shoot me in the ear.
Get it right.
Yeah, shoot me in the ear. Yeah, I would rather take a center mass shot if I was taking a stage shot. Because center mass, they could work on that.
Yeah, shoulder or something.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is just stupid. But anyways, like the next day or 2 days later, Tenacious D had a tour in Australia. And it was Kyle Gass's birthday. So they brought out like a big cake and like made him make a wish. And he was like, "Please don't miss next time," with like his stupid voice. And like half the crowd laughed and the other half was like, "Ooh." Well, that went around the world.
This was in Australia?
This was in Australia. That
it's crazy to think that there's so many fans out there.
Did not go well. And all of the other revenues or all the other venues that they were going to go to canceled. They pulled out. They're like, nope, you're not coming here no more. We canceled. So Jack Black came out and said, oh, well, we're canceling the tour because we know it was insensitive. No, he didn't choose anything. The venues were like, we're not insuring you anymore because you just endorsed shooting at a president. We're done here.
Yeah.
We don't need violence tied to our venues. You're not coming here. So their shows got canceled. And then Kyle Gass came out and made this god-awful apology. And Jack Black severed their relationship.
Oh, really?
He disbanded Tenacious D.
Jeez.
Over that. Because Jack Black had like 3 movies coming out. This newest Kung Fu Panda just came out. And it was coming out right after that. There was some other... He's got... he's playing Steve in the Minecraft movie.
Oh, okay.
That's coming out. He's got all these big movies coming out.
Yeah.
He can't afford to have that tarnish, and it's going to tarnish his reputation forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, they ended as a band because of that.
Johnny Depp said something too a couple years ago about shooting a president. He said, when's the last time an actor shot the president? You remember that?
Yeah.
Did you ever see that?
I think so.
I don't think he got any backlash for that.
I think he did. But
Really?
Johnny Depp already has half the world who hates him because
Fair enough.
he's Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a terrible dude. Like, Amber Heard was definitely the shittier of the two.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp is no fucking saint.
No.
That dude's a terrible human.
I mean,
he's
Hollywood.
a full tilt alcoholic
Yeah.
and a drug addict.
Yeah.
He's not a nice guy.
I like when they're doing the courtroom and then she's like, it's a jar of cocaine, and then it cuts to him standing up with the jar of sand.
Yeah.
Got it.
I've got a jar of dirt. I've got a jar of dirt.
So good though.
Oh, dude.
She's got a jar of cocaine. Got it. It's one of my favorite. It pops up on my feed every once in a while, and it makes me laugh every time.
Ah, dude, so freaking funny. But yeah, dude,
That's crazy. I remember slightly hearing something about Tenacious D right after the attempt, but
that's what it was.
But I didn't put the 2 and 2 together. That's crazy though that they're disbanded now. That's wild.
Well, think about it.
They've been best friends for like ever.
Yeah, but that's a call to action. That's illegal in the United
okay.
States. So the common misconception, I'm sure you've heard this your whole life, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater.
No.
You've never heard that?
I'm saying you can't do that.
No, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing illegal about it. It's freedom of speech.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but people go, oh, you can't say it's illegal. No, it's not. Now, if you cause someone else harm because everyone stampedes, you are at fault for the damage.
Gotcha.
But it is not illegal to do. You won't be fined. Like, I can go into a crowded theater and yell fire, and if any fallout happens, I could be held liable in court for that.
What's wild is you could do that nowadays, and nobody would move.
Exactly.
Nobody would move.
So you're fine. But there's but the difference is...
Isn't it wild that we've come that
yeah,
far
that
in
we're
like
just
40
desensitized?
years? Yeah, to the point where you could yell fire in a crowded room and people would be like, fuck off. Let it burn me.
Yeah. I'm here to watch the newest Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
You sit fucking down. So, but the difference, so the First Amendment protects your freedom of speech, your freedom of religion. Like, that's what it protects. It does not protect a call to action. And yelling fire is a call to action. It directly implicates, hey, we're in danger. Remove yourself from danger.
Yeah.
So you cannot use a call to action and have that be protected by your First Amendment. Now, I can sit here and say, I believe Jesus Christ was the Son of God, and that's my freedom to say that. That's my freedom of religion and my freedom to say that. I cannot say something as ridiculous as to get someone else harmed.
Okay.
Like, I don't even want to use examples for fear of flagging.
Yeah.
But because that's a call to action.
Yeah.
So a call to action is not protected.
Call to action has
Could lead someone
lead to
else.
something.
You could.
Okay.
I could say something that someone else could take as, oh, I look up to that person. I admire them. I have all their
It
CDs.
could probably get blown out of proportion if you're somebody in any sort of
If you're-
influential position.
Exactly. So if you're like pseudo stalker level fanboy
Yeah.
of Kyle Gass, and he gets up there, blows out the candles, and says, "Please don't miss next time." Someone could take that as, "Oh,
He wants me to
my
do it.
dog was talking to me, and he wants me to do
Yeah.
this." It has ramifications. It could influence someone to do something
Yeah.
that's not protected.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what he did. Like, he made a big I mean, that is wild. Like, the U.S. president is considered to be the most powerful person on the planet, and I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If you're okay with that person getting hit or having an attempt on them, you're the problem. Like, you're the psychopath for wanting that to be a thing. I cannot stand Obama. He bombed private U.S. citizens who were guilty of nothing in the Middle East. He took out families. He dropped an awful lot of bombs on people, which is why he's known as Obama. I wouldn't want that to happen to him. Now, I think that he should be called to the carpet for what he did, but that's never going to happen because he's his president and he's such a beloved freaking weirdo. But yeah, there are people out there that they care more about hating Donald Trump than they care about anything else. That's what they live for. They live to hate this guy and that's why.
Well, it goes on both sides, though. Kamala's got people that are like that, too.
I can't stand her. I wouldn't say I hate her.
But
she terrifies me.
There are people out there that just hate her just to hate her.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying it doesn't go both ways, but like, I dislike her on merit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't dislike her as a human. I'm not just like, I don't care what she does when she's out of the White House altogether. Go live your life. Like, I don't
just don't put people in prison for weed.
Exactly. Like, I just don't be a terrible human. Otherwise, I don't care about you. Like, I don't have an opinion. But when it comes down to the political structure of our country, she's a very bad decision.
She's confusing to me.
Dude, she's such a weirdo.
I can't peg her.
Dude, I can't.
I tried to watch
her husband gets pegged by her all the time, I'm sure.
Nice.
Hey.
Nice. But I tried to watch 2 interviews of hers, a like 2021 or whatever, or
the 60 minutes.
The
60 minutes one.
And then there was one other one that I tried to watch, and dude, because I'm trying to
yeah, you're trying to figure it out.
I'm trying to get into the like politics a little bit and try to figure it out and just put my own opinion in there. Even though it doesn't,
as you should,
even though it doesn't matter, I'm doing it for myself.
Yeah, but let me take a second,
dude.
Like, that's what everyone should be doing.
Yeah,
go listen to the person. Don't just listen to sound bites.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's very good. I'm very proud of you. Because it's the same thing I tell your mom to do. Same thing I tell everyone to do. Go listen for yourself.
Yeah, the raw 60 Minutes video was rough, dude. It was really hard to watch. Like, softball questions, but like,
were there any answers?
None, none at all. Like, and it was like, it almost felt like, it felt like you were watching like a different reality. Like, everything that was said had absolutely nothing to do with what was asked. Like, not even close. Like, it felt so sleazy politics. Like, I was like, it totally turned me off from like the whole, because I've been slowly getting into it, and it like watching it, I was like, oh, this is like, it just felt like I was watching a snake have a conversation with somebody.
So remind me, is 60 Minutes the one where he asks her a question and she goes, well, Donald Trump is running?
Yeah.
But Donald Trump has been running this whole time.
Yeah.
He's like, that has nothing to do with what I asked you.
She blamed him for everything.
Yeah. She's like, he asked her a question about like the border, and she's like, but Donald Trump is running. He's like, what's that got to do with why you haven't done anything?
Yeah. And the thing that I liked about the whatever reporter or interviewer or whatever you call the guy was asking questions is he would ask the question, she would deflect it like right away, and then he would like kind of like steer her back into it and like kind of follow her back into it, which was nice to see, because it just felt like a train wreck. It was tough. It was really tough to watch. I didn't finish it. I tried to. I couldn't get through the whole thing. It was hard.
And he didn't ask her a single hard question, did he?
Not really.
Like, what he asked was like reasonable
shit.
questions.
Yeah, normal stuff that presidents get asked.
Yeah. Like any politician.
Border security, drug epidemic, shit like that. But every question was answered with like just nonsense, like full nonsense. Like,
For minutes,
yeah,
like 7 minutes of just
Yeah.
nonsense.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna stand up here.
It was scary, dude. It was scary to think that that's the person that could be running the free world.
Who can take zero responsibility for anything they say. Not that Trump's any better at it. Like, he doesn't, but he says a lot better things, and he does better things. In the 4 years he was in office, like, I grant it, he said some wild shit all the time.
Yeah.
It's part
funny,
of why it's part of why I love him. The
funny,
dude's
though.
just on fire.
Yeah.
Dude, like when Tony Hinchcliffe is like, this guy's a killer.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Without question, he's the funniest president that has ever existed.
truth.
Ever.
He just like dropping bombs on people,
Yeah.
dude. Like,
Doesn't care.
you know, there's
I got a red button and mine's bigger and it works. That's all I got to say.
Listen
I love
here,
the
little
fact that
rocket
I
man.
love the fact that he said that. That's so sick. That's so sick.
My favorite story.
What a gangster thing to say.
Dude, yeah. So my favorite thing that's even more gangster than that is he was dealing with a dude who was in charge of, forgive me, I don't remember who now. He's in charge of a big group in the Middle East. And I think it was it Alar who Baghdadi or something like that. So this dude was running, was it ISIS or he ran a huge organization over there in the Middle East. And they wound up getting into a room with this man and talking to him and trying to like settle some peaceable terms with the region in the Middle East. Like, hey, let's stop for a minute. Let's chill out. Let's stop attacking each other. And so Trump goes in there and he's talking to the man. He's got his interpreter. And he's like, hey, man, let's chill out. Let's come to some peaceable terms. You will not harm one hair on one American head or this is game over for you. And the guy goes, what? He goes, what? And the interpreter goes, huh? And he's like, you tell him exactly what I just said. Not one hair is to be harmed on one American head. And so he tells the guy, and the guy just looks at him. And Trump turns to the dude standing beside him. He hands Trump something, and he sets it in front of the guy, and they walk out of the room. Or they start to walk out of the room, and the guy looks at it, and it's a picture of the man's house.
Nice.
And he goes, why do you hand me this? And he goes, you'll find out if you harm one more American. And they walk out of the room. It's the most gangster thing ever. It was a satellite photo of the dude's home.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck around and find out, dude.
Yeah.
Like, hurt one American soldier.
That's pretty gangster.
And I will bomb you into oblivion with anyone else in that home. We know exactly where you live. We know exactly where you're at. Test me.
Yeah.
And everything was peaceable. Like, and the dude who was in the room with him has talked about that. Like, Trump didn't really talk about that ever. But the dude who was in that room, I found an interview with him. And someone, I don't remember who was asking him, but they're like, hey, man, like, we heard the story, like, about this picture. And he's like, oh, yeah, you want to know that story? And he tells the story. Like, he goes into better detail. I'll have to find it. I'll bring it up the next time we're talking. I'll show it to you. But, yeah, the dude's like, oh, you want to know? Yeah, I was standing in the room when he did it. Like, this is what happened. He just kept telling the guy, you're not hurting an American soldier. If any of your people harm any of my people, you're answering for it. And when they handed that dude that picture, he's like, why you give me this? He goes, find out.
Yeah.
And then they realized, like, oh, shit. Like, I'm messing with the Americans. The Americans have all the satellites. They have all the bombs. They have all the stealth technology.
Yeah.
I will never hear that bomb coming.
Beautiful dogs.
Yeah, dude. So
yeah,
the dude backed off, and then we were chill. And then now we can't get out of the country without losing 17 soldiers. Like, the whole thing's a shit show. We handed over the biggest military base, the biggest airfield in the Middle East. We handed over when we left.
Left billions of dollars worth of arm like
yeah, because
helicopters
it was cheaper to leave it than to bring it back.
Wild.
What really pisses me off about all of this, and so some idiot, I left a comment on, and I got a response, and this is what I was reading right before we ate dinner earlier, because I got this alert from YouTube, and I was like, oh, what's that? And I was like, oh, some idiot leaving a comment. Let's see if I can find it. because I talk a lot of shit online. So if you ever want to argue with me on my channel, because I will argue with you. So Fat Electrician did a thing about U.S. Air Force new Rapid Dragon weapon, a C-17 launching 45 cruise missiles. And they're using these over in Ukraine, which we shouldn't be involved in. And he said something, I don't even remember, because this is 4 months ago. I talked so much shit, I don't remember what necessarily this was in reference to. So I said, about your random cities, we shouldn't have anything to do with the nonsense between Russia and Ukraine, bro. That's a pissing contest that is draining our bank account like a drunk college girl who keeps wrecking daddy's car and asking for more money. Because we were sending billions of dollars over to Ukraine. So someone 5 hours ago,
we're giving $750 to hurricane survivors, and that's not even like a stimulus. They have to pay it back.
Yeah, it's a loan that you have to get approval for.
Wild.
And we're sending over billions of dollars to Ukraine.
Yeah, that's wild.
So this genius 5 hours ago responded, yes, because this is how geopolitics works. Also, very little of the money is just directly going to Ukraine. We are sending mainly old stock and stuff that would cost the U.S. money to decommission. Not to mention it is mainly U.S. workers rebuilding the stocks and getting paid well to do so. I don't fully understand.
I don't get that.
So what pisses me off is I've got a lot of friends and family that have served, and a lot of them more recently. So I also follow a lot of these guys online. So when a soldier is sent anywhere for a tour of duty, but especially to an active war zone, they're sent over with their gear. They're sent with their rifle, their sidearm, all of their clothing, all the U.S. government issue stuff, anything that belongs to them, whatever. But if you've got nods, you're being sent with your nods, your helmet, all of your gear that belongs to the government goes with you. And a lot of these guys were some of the last people to come back when we were pulling out of the Middle East. And they were told to leave a bunch of gear behind. And they're like, what? They're like, yeah, leave your nods behind. He's like, wait, no. They're like, no, leave it. It's cheaper to leave it here than it is for the fuel to fly all that weight back home. Leave all that gear here. And then they get here, and then they finish out their time. And in some cases, these people do their time. They are done with the military. They retire from the military. And then they are billed for all the equipment that they abandoned overseas, that they were ordered to leave overseas. These people are now having to privately pay for to reimburse Uncle Sam.
That sucks.
Could you imagine that? Being told to leave behind an M4 with an M203.
You could apply that to like regular civilian life, and that would be a shitty way to go about things.
And now you owe money.
If you worked at Office Max and they were like, you have to leave all this shit, you can't take it with you, and then you have to pay for it later. It's fucking crazy.
You know how insane that is,
yeah,
dude?
that's wild.
So our people are getting screwed. So this guy is clearly just like simping for the Ukrainian war bullshit. It's like, oh, well, it's old stock. Okay, but it cost us money to send it there.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell you're calling old stock.
Still, it costs freight.
You're sending over M4s. Okay, an M4, 16 pounds plus an ACOG. And if it's got any attachments on it, now you're introducing more weight. You're sending over a C-130 or whatever.
Fuel doesn't
send all this weight.
Fuel doesn't care what it's carrying.
Yeah. Now you're sending over rockets, missiles, old aircraft, whatever it is we're sending. It shouldn't be going there. Like, this is a nation who wanted to join an organization that was designed to prevent these people from joining the organization. The USSR, at the end of the Cold War, they had to break up the USSR and create all these other countries. And that's where you get Estonia, Ukraine, Georgia. You get all these other countries that used to be part of the USSR. So most of these nations still speak Russian. Ukraine has two different languages that they speak. And a lot of the people that are in the part of the war-torn Ukraine identify as Russian because they lived there when Ukraine became a thing. They were never supposed to join. There was a pact that was designed saying no new nations will join below this level like Russia and these certain bordering nations can never join NATO. This isn't going to happen. And Ukraine's been trying to do it for a while. And Russia's like, dude, hey, NATO, if you let our bordering country join, we will take that as an act of aggression, because now you're directly moving troops on our border. Because that's what happens with the NATO nation. They get American troops. They get troops from other places. So now, like, we have bases in Germany since World War II. We established property there, and we're like, hey, we're going to make sure you guys never do this again, because twice you guys have acted up. We're staying here now. So now, like, my dad was in Germany for a while when he was in the army. Lots of people I know have been stationed in Germany. So that's part of your rotation now. So if you go do a tour, you could go do your tour in Ukraine. You could go be stationed in Ukraine on a border city with a potential enemy. Why would, like, if Russia decided to all of a sudden plant a military base in Nogales, would we take that as an act of aggression?
Yeah.
Would we stop it? Yeah. Hell yes, we would. Like, everyone only sees, oh, Russia bad.
Red Dawn's never happened.
Yeah, dude, because everyone's been talking shit about Russia for so many years.
Yeah.
It's like the Cold War all over again. It's like we're living in 1984.
Well, Stalin's not a great guy.
Well, Stalin's not alive.
No, not Stalin. Putin. Sorry.
I agree. Putin's not a good dude. And I don't think that the Russian government is a good group of people. But the Russian civilians didn't ask for this shit.
No.
They don't want to be at war. You know, hell, they're still stuck under a communist regime, and communism is the worst thing to ever happen to humanity.
Yeah.
But here's what gets me, dude. This is the left not understanding their own arguments. The left wants communism. Bernie Sanders loves communism, loves Russia. He honeymooned in Russia. He speaks Russian. He's been to Russia a lot of times in his life. But he hates the millionaires and the billionaires. It's because he's a communist. He wants the communism to be here in America.
What is communism, then?
So communism is the government owns everything. They own all the private. There's no private business. So like my company would be owned by the government.
Okay.
That's every company. Period. There is no privately owned
McDonald's,
business.
everything. So there's no
your job. That's all owned by the government.
There's no, like, can't own like a restaurant.
Nope. The government owns all of it. And then the government basically...
That sounds not cool.
Right?
Why would anybody want that?
Just that. Like,
yeah,
just
that's
that
terrifying.
Alone.
That's terrifying.
So, and it's in the guise of making sure everyone gets what they need. So now the government's in charge of everything, so the government can decide, oh, everyone, you get McDonald's, and he also gets McDonald's, and he also gets McDonald's.
There's nothing but fail points in that, though. The government can't.
Not if you're a lefty.
The government can't run what they're doing right now.
Dude, the government can't run FEMA.
I know, yeah. Let alone if they took over everything in the United States.
Okay, now there's no
like
private business.
franchises, no private business.
No private business. The government owns everything.
Jeez.
And generally speaking...
You're talking fishing boats, everything.
Everything.
That's fucking
They own
gnarly.
all the offshore drilling. They own all the pipelines.
This is nightmare fuel.
They decide what cars
I
you
shouldn't
get
have
to
asked
own.
this question.
So
I regret it.
So even though Hitler was a totalitarian, what he was in the grand scheme of things, like, you can break down a lot of differences between totalitarianism and communism, but they're cousins.
Okay.
Like, they're related.
Cousins that kiss.
Yeah, they're kissing cousins. So Putin was elected several times.
He's gonna keep getting elected.
He's been elected a lot. He was in prison for a little while and then got out and was elected again.
Dude, that's so sick.
He was also Spetsnaz, so
I wish I had that power.
He was Secret Service. He was basically in their CIA.
Jeez.
So the dude speaks English very well and then acts like he doesn't.
Nice.
Like,
plays the game.
Subterfuge, bro. It's so crazy. Like, when I was watching...
Funny. I would do the same thing if I spoke a foreign language, though.
Yeah, just pretend like you don't.
Yeah.
Just wear your big goofy earpiece. Like, you should really watch the Tucker Carlson interview with Putin.
Really?
He went to Russia. Oh, dude, the world went nuts that he was over there.
I bet.
But he was in the Kremlin, interviewing Putin.
Really?
And he had this big, ridiculous earpiece on for his translator to translate.
But
I'm
he
like,
speaks perfectly
I'm like,
fine
bitch, you
English.
speak better English than Tucker does. You're a spook, man. You're a ghost in your country. You're a spy. You speak English. So, like, Putin's not a good dude by any stretch.
No.
At all. But
bad guy.
Russia's not our enemy.
Cool guy alert.
Yeah. Dude, he's an animal. But he wasn't trying to pick a war. He didn't want a war. He was like, hey guys, back off, like stop doing this. And then they kept pushing, and now we're in what's called a proxy war. So it's a war with extra steps.
Yeah.
We're using Ukraine as cannon fodder to fight Russia. We're backing them. At what point?
Whose choice was it to back Ukraine?
Freaking NATO's? Like
NATO's?
Yeah, dude. That was everyone like, oh, well, let's back them. And then, no, this happened after Trump was out of office.
Yeah, no, I knew that. That's why I was wondering who was like directly responsible for
Biden's kid worked for a big organization he wasn't qualified to work for.
You talking about Hunter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Worked for a company in Ukraine.
Really?
Yeah. Leading up to all this horse shit. Yeah, dude, they got ties, dude. There's kickbacks coming back to the White House. I guarantee it.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's sketchy, dude. The whole thing,
all sketchy,
dude. The
thing. More I learn about it, the more I'm like, I'm so glad that I'm not involved with this because it's so crazy how dirty it is.
Yeah,
it's so dirty.
It's all filthy, dude. There's
it's
not
crazy.
a clean hand in government.
None.
I don't care who they are.
None.
They're all dirty. So yeah, dude. So communism, the government owns everything,
which is fucking.
It's all
crazy.
state owned. And then what's their saying? It's from each of their ability to each of their need, or something stupid. From each according to his ability. So from each according to his ability to each according to his need is a slogan that describes a principle of social organization where people are compensated based on their abilities and needs are met. Origin, Karl Marx.
Historically, communism has never worked.
It's never worked. It's crippled nations.
But there's people that live in a modern society that thoroughly believe
modern society.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
American modern society. Yeah, all these young morons who daddy has been giving them everything, they think everything's free and should be free. They don't understand how the world works, so they think the government should give everything. Well, where does the government get anything from? Our tax money.
Yeah.
So all of your taxes you pay every year.
So there's a whole like pro-communism existence out there?
Yes.
That's fucking crazy. What?
Dude, what's wild is in like the 50s and 60s and 70s, you had to be like, these communists ran Hollywood and they had to like be very secret because like it was illegal to be communist in America.
I was gonna say for like the longest time it was like anti-communism was like the thing that was like being American.
Yes, very American.
Yeah.
So you were called a communist sympathizer.
Yeah.
So you were like, you sympathize with communism and you wanted communism. Meanwhile, you were making all this money in Hollywood. Because it was mostly Hollywood were the communist sympathizers back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, your middle class Americans didn't give a shit about that. They didn't want that. They were like, no, I love making money and buying my new Chevy.
Yeah.
And taking my lady out.
But the guys that had the mucho dinero.
Yeah, they were like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, but never mind the fact that it's their money that would be taken first.
Yeah.
Like it's the rich people
that's
that are, their shit's taken first.
When you put this idea of the government running everything, then they're going to take all the rich people's money first. Right?
Yeah, that's where all the money's coming from. Like, that's where all the money comes from first.
At least the trillionaires would be knocked down a couple pegs.
Right? So Karl Marx popularized the slogan
maybe I'm
in
a communist.
1875. You're a communist. This is going to be a really funny tact at the end of reviewing some terrible movies. So if you've made it this far, thank you. Made it popular with a work critique with the Gotha program. However, the phrase was used before Marx by Louis Blanc in 1839 and Etienne Gabriel Morelli in 1755. Implications. The slogan is at the core of equal opportunity, which is an ideal that underpins affirmative action legislation and policies to increase college accessibility. Questions for economists. Economists might ask about the slogan, such as who determines ability, who decides whether enough has been given, and how the value of work will be determined.
Yeah, and who do you put in charge of determining
Thank
that?
you.
Yeah.
That is the number one question I have for communist sympathizers.
Well,
Who decides?
You put one person in charge?
So here's the thing, and this I love to spin people's arguments to make them think about their argument.
Yeah.
Because most people, if they're being honest and really think about the other side of it, will realize the flaws in their own logic. So with communism, I go, okay, you like communism? Yeah, no, the government should be taking care of us. We should have, we should have all this medicine that's paid for. And
You've
all of our
actually
health.
spoken to somebody that's like a legit communist?
Oh yeah, dude. I've talked to a
That's
few,
fucking crazy.
and they hate me. So because I'm unwilling to bend the knee and all this stuff. This is why I'm not a union guy. Union is a communist ideal. So everyone gets equal pay for equal work.
Yeah.
Well, what?
Yeah.
Never mind the fact, because I was an electrician and I was a carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm busting my ass all day long framing out, like when I was a framer, I'm like, I'm framing all this, I'm walking scaffolds, I'm doing all these things. That idiot has barely done anything all day,
But he's getting paid the same.
but he's getting paid the exact same as me. What?
Mm.
And when I was an electrician, I'm like, I worked 18-hour days for months and 6 days a week. I was working my ass off. Now I was getting overtime, but the guy who barely worked at all and was always finding places to hide on the high rise was making the same as me per hour. Now in communism, that overtime doesn't exist. Like you're just getting paid, and it's getting paid, and you're getting paid low wages because they don't think anyone should have. You should have just enough
to get by.
Because we're giving you everything else.
Yeah. Like food and
Well,
everything.
that's where bread lines start, because food runs out.
Yeah.
Because you turn into this weird, oh, well, this person doesn't have to work because such and such reason, or so and so doesn't, they're related to so and so. But so all the money comes into the government and then it stays at the top. So
That's what I'm
this
saying.
is the same problem. Well, and in practical application here in Tucson. So Arizona, with our last election, did the Red for Ed garbage. I'm sure you saw the Red for Ed for months downtown.
What did that mean?
So Red for Ed was wear red for education.
Okay.
To support teachers. So teachers believe they don't get paid enough.
Okay.
Teachers only work, 8 months of the year?
Mm-hmm.
Like, barring, because I mean, if that, because you've got winter break, summer break, spring break, and then all the
rodeo
other
break.
and all the other little breaks.
Yeah.
They're only working 7 or 8 months a year.
Yeah.
Making $60,000 a year. Well, you only worked 3/4 of the year and you made $60,000. If you worked the other 3 at the same rate, you'd be making you'd be making close to $100,000. That's how math works. You chose the profession. If this is such a problem and you're so fucking intelligent, you knew that was a problem when you decided to go to college and get your degree in education. So you knew how much college was costing you. You knew how long it was going to take you to pay back those loans. And you knew you were going into a profession that you're only going to make this much money. Why are you pissed at the rest of the world for your decisions? And why should you need a pay increase when if you worked a full year at that rate, you'd be making more than me? It's not my fault you only work part of the year and you went into a profession knowing you only work part of the year. I had this argument. I dated a teacher once and we never saw eye to eye on that. She was like, well, I have to work all this overtime. I have to find all these other side jobs like in the summer and in the winter. And I'm like, yeah, but you chose this profession. I chose my profession. Like it didn't choose me. I didn't fall ass backwards and I was like, oh, I'm chained to the wall. This is where I'm at. No, I saw the potential in my career field and ran with it. Like I grew up around guys that were in this profession and I knew what they were making after X amount of years in the trade. And I'm like, well, I'm doing that. And I enjoy doing it and I love my customers.
I feel like teachers become teachers because they don't want to work all year.
That's what it seems like, dude. And then they want to bitch that they don't make them enough money.
Yeah.
So Red for Ed, it was this ballot measure. It was the highest state tax increase in Arizona history. And it got passed because people were like, oh yeah, teachers need to get paid more. What they don't understand, if you actually read the entire bill, which is why I tell people to do their own homework and do their research, that fat ass book that comes in every year that there's an election with ballot measures, it tells you all the ballot measures and it explains everything. It shows the pros and the cons and what it would mean if you vote yes and what it would mean if you vote no. And no one read it. They ran on rhetoric. They were like, oh, well, red for ed because teachers don't get paid enough. And I met a teacher and she's having a hard time paying her bills. Yeah, but is that teacher sitting on her ass all summer and all winter and not doing anything else? Or is she supplementing her income because she knew what she chose?
OnlyFans, baby.
Dude, yeah, there's a lot of those getting
I know.
fired.
I know.
So it was the highest tax increase in Arizona history. And what it did, and I know a lot of people in schools. I got a lot of friends who work in schools. All that money is decided on what happens to it by the governing school board.
Okay. So
all that money starts coming in. The very top couple of people decide where that money goes. So now your board of directors all get a raise immediately.
Do you remember the number, like the increase, like the value, the increase that they got?
Oh, what was
Like,
it?
are you talking a couple million?
Over time, yeah, because it's a state tax increase.
Okay.
So now when I pay my state taxes, when you pay your state taxes, a big chunk of that goes to
This
schools.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, it goes to the school districts.
Okay.
So it's a big number.
Big number.
So you get it. So they get this money, and then the superintendent gets a fat raise. And then the next person down gets fat raises. And then some principals will get fat raises. And then teachers might get 11 cents an hour, 50 cents an hour, something like that. It's gonna be small.
But the superintendent gets the big
hit. Yeah, dude. There's a superintendent in a school district here in Tucson that I've met, and I have seen what he drives, and it's a brand new Range Rover.
Nice.
But most of the teachers are driving busted up old trucks in his same district.
Yeah.
And this is a relatively small district. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
But so it's not that you're not getting enough money in the school district. It's that
not distributing it right.
All the dudes at the higher up you go, the more fat their paychecks are.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of principals driving some really nice shit.
So this sounds like communism.
That's exactly how communism works because the teachers are a union.
Yeah.
So they're a very unionized organization, and that's how communism works, because unions are a communist ideal. They operate the same way. It's the same thing with all the stuff with the shipping crap going on strike.
How's that 60-day thing working out?
90 day?
90 day.
It's still working.
We'll
find out. We'll find out in January.
So it'll end in January?
Yeah. So that was what, October, November, December. So they're allowed to go back and strike, I think, in January. So they, what was I going to say? So with that, you've got that big dude that was coming out wearing all the gold chains. You saw it. We talked a little bit about it. Yeah, dude makes $1 million a year, just shy of, it was like $900,000 a year. So he's the head union rep for all these guys. So he took home like $970,000 last year.
Jeez.
And all of the guys that are currently out of, or who were at the time not working and were on strike, were making like $90,000 a year. How? If you're not doing anything but representing all the guys who are actually working,
so much money?
How are you literally making 10 times as much money?
That's crazy.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
That's how communism works. The guys down at the bottom actually unloading containers are only making
pennies on the
what's
dollar.
that wind up making? Like right around probably $50 an hour.
Okay.
On average, we'll call it an average rough number. I haven't done that much digging, but the stuff I found was kind of vague. It ranged from like $20 an hour all the way up to $60.
Okay.
So we'll call it 50.
Okay. Just to be safe.
So $50 an hour these guys are making, and that guy's bringing home just shy of a cool $1 million a year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So these guys are making a little over $100,000.
How are you a part of a union and not pissed at that?
They buy into the shit, dude. I've worked with a lot of
I
union
represent
guys.
you, but I'm taking all your money.
The only argument I've ever heard that made any sense to me at all from any union guy, and this is from different trades, carpenters, tin benders, so that's test and balance guys, electricians, welders, all of them universally have said, yeah, but I get they get insurance for the rest of their life, and they get retirement. So it's not like a 401k. Like, you get paid a percentage of your income for the rest of your life, and you get insurance for the rest of your life. And that's the only thing these guys are looking forward
Yeah.
to is their
Is
retirement plan.
Yeah.
So like I got a buddy who works for a railroad and he's fixing to retire in a couple of years. And that's his thing. He's like, oh, I get a pension. So our buddy with all the motorcycles gets a pension. So that's guaranteed money for the rest of his life. And he's got health insurance for the rest of his life. Well, if you are a saver and pay into a 401k, that's a retirement plan.
Yeah.
Plus Social Security if the government would stop treating it like a bank account that they can tap into whenever the hell they want. And that's both sides of the aisle. That's everybody screwing with that. And
what was it again?
Social Security.
Social Security. Okay.
Yeah. So Social Security is this giant bank account that the government years ago, they were never supposed to be allowed to touch it. It's the whole reason you have a Social Security number. That was supposed to be federally protected where you never needed that number for anything. And all of a sudden they start tying your Social Security number to everything.
Yeah.
Like everything you do. What's your Social Security number? Well, you're not legally supposed to be able to ask me that.
Yeah.
But they changed all these stupid laws to where now that number is tied to so much shit that people are able to steal your identity.
Debt, baby.
So, and identity theft is almost impossible to get out from underneath that.
Yeah.
So
I live in endless fear of identity theft too. Heart attacks and identity theft.
Dude, fucking get a hold of my identity. You're gonna have some debt, and like that's all you're getting out of me. No one's gonna give you a credit card. Like I don't live on credit, so I don't have a great credit. Like my credit score is like okay.
Yeah.
Like if I really needed something, my bank would give it to me, but that's mostly because I pay my shit.
Yeah.
So like no one's going to help you out with my credit score. My dad loves the fact that he doesn't have a credit score. Like he's a cash money dude.
Yeah.
Like he owns his home. He owns all of his cars. He owns all his motorcycles. He owns all his shit. So he doesn't need one. And he's very much, I'm of the same mind because I was raised by him. I hate credit. I think it's a gross thing we shouldn't be doing. We shouldn't be living. You're building your entire society based on debt. And it's nasty. So I try not to do anything with debt. So for years I didn't have, like my credit score was almost non-existent. People are like, what the hell? And I'm like, yeah, bro, but all my bills are paid. I own my trucks. Like, what's it matter?
Yeah.
So I tried getting a loan and they were like, yeah, you need a cosigner. And I'm like, but I make all this money. Here's all my pay stubs. And they're like, that doesn't matter. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean it doesn't matter?
Yeah, they
like,
need proof that you cannot pay it back.
Yeah. Like at the time I was like, dude, I make 70 grand a year. What do you mean I can't take out 5 grand?
They want to take that money from you.
Like, so I had to get a cosigner for a $5,000 personal loan. I was like, what the hell? Like, you see all my income. I bank with you. Like, you see that.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
They don't care.
No.
So I had to get a cosigner, build up my credit. And then the next time I needed anything, they were like, yeah, whatever you want. Your payment history is amazing. I'm like, well, the last dude said that didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's gross. I'd rather just save up my damn money.
No, I get it.
Like, if it wasn't for the fact that I love my wife so much, I wouldn't have never gone and bought a car from a dealership.
Yeah.
I'd have just saved up money and bought something outright or traded something. Like, I wheel and deal, man. That's how I grew up with horse trade. Horse trade and a truck for a motorcycle for another truck.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, the system's screwed and communism is the devil.
Yeah.
And yeah, if we were a communist nation, we'd fall apart.
That'd be gnarly.
So one of the biggest,
I want to see a movie like that.
Communism destroys country. I can never remember. Damn it. What was it? So there's a South American country and I never get it right when I want to remember the name of the damn country. So I feel stupid for even bringing it up. Plus I'm tired. Which country was it? Because I don't want to give the wrong one. Destroys South American country. So Europe. Why is it so hard to find this exact country?
Because communism destroyed it.
Pretty much, dude. Contrast, opulence. This is really aggravating me that I'm trying to find the one nation because I want to be accurate with it because it was the fastest growing nation on the planet. And Central American crisis began in the 70s. Civil wars, communist revolutions erupted Central America, United States, South America. Yeah, give me the actual country. It just keeps saying Latin America. No, was it Nicaragua? Yep, the Sandinistas. So Nicaragua, the Sandinista National Liberation Front overthrew the 46-year-long Somoza dictatorship in 79. However, the United States opposed the Nicaraguan Revolution due to the communist sympathies and support from Castro's Cuba and backed an anti-left-wing counter-revolutionary rebellion against the Sandinista government. El Salvador fought between the military-led government and El Salvador in a coalition of umbrella organization left-wing militias. Over the course of the 70s, significant tensions and violence had already existed. Civil War's full outbreak. Guatemala, CIA-backed coup ousting Jacobo Arbenz in 1954. Civil war ensued in Guatemala between 62 and 96. In Guatemala, the rebel armed forces fighting against the government were based exclusively in rural areas, made up for large... Honduras. Yeah, dude, all these states. So all you have to do is look at Korea. Korea was one country, and communism started to grow. You watched that crazy-ass show with me about the spy with Robert Downey Jr. playing all the different characters.
Yeah.
So you watch Korea being one nation. My grandfather served there during that war. And communism split it in half. So now you have North Korea with Little Rocket Man, which is a communist country that is blocked off from the rest of the world. They get no information from the outside world.
It's wild.
It is very difficult to go into their nation.
Yeah.
Henry Rollins did it and tells his story.
Unless
and
you're Dennis Rodman.
Wild. Dennis Rodman's a big fan. But Henry Rollins went in there.
Really?
Yeah, and he was barely allowed in, but he was allowed in because they were worried. They almost didn't let him in because he's such a well-known guy, but he managed to get in, do like tours, take some pictures and stuff, was very lucky to get out. There's been college students that were captured there because they screwed up and broke one wrong rule and did prison there for the rest of their lives or took forever to get out.
That's crazy.
So it is a blacked out nation. Like, it is dark. Like, if you flew a satellite, you can't really see fly satellites over it and see anything. Like, it is a interesting place, and that's what communism gets you. It brings you to a leader, and then it becomes a totalitarian regime. But it's all communist. Everyone there has to have a picture of Kim Jong-un in their house, and you have to smile at them and praise it and all this other crazy shit, dude. That's communism.
Yeah.
That's what communism gets you.
I want that power, though. I want to be that guy. That'd be fun, dude.
Crazy, right? And then have a dude like Trump show you what's up. You know,
no, I just wouldn't let him in.
Find a dude with a
don't
much
let him
bigger
in.
stick.
Don't let him in. Give me my small country.
So, yeah, dude, like, that's communism in a nutshell.
So is Russia still considered a communist country?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still got very, very poor people there. I mean, they've got like blue jeans and shit and McDonald's, but
toothpicks.
Yeah, dude, it's still not a great place to live. Yeah, well, it's like that dumbass basketball player who went there and took drugs.
The Olympian one.
The big black broad.
Yeah.
Took drugs.
And they traded him for like a serious like hitter.
Yeah, the dude known as the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
That guy.
Traded him for like a real hitter.
Yeah, someone who has taken out like tens of thousands of humans.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we'll take him back, please, in this crazy ass
all over
draft.
some weed too, which is wild.
And she knew. Yeah. And she fucking knew.
Well, yeah, you know that going in, like
and she still
when you're
smuggled in
drugs.
Yeah. And
like when I went to Hawaii, I brought pot with me, but it's legal, so I was like allowed to. But like if I was flying to Russia, I would check.
It's not legal there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she took it, got snatched up, spent some time in jail, and then they were like, Trump's not in office. We can get whatever we want.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll take the Grim Reaper back.
Just one Grim Reaper. Please.
Yeah. Lord Death himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. The dude that wipes people off the map for us.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, we'll take him back, please. And then you can have your dumbass basketball player who sucks because the WNBA has 0 fans.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead. You take your
Wild.
stupid sport ball player back, and we'll take back our pipe hitter.
Yeah.
You know that dude Marcellus Wallace calls in to deal with people? Yeah, we'll take that guy back. You take this dumbass dribbler back with you. With all of her ugly tattoos. You get
Yeah,
this.
dude, that's wild.
Yeah, dude, so that's...
Well, thank you for informing me on what communism actually is. And thank you for
in
giving
broad strokes. Very broad strokes.
nightmare fuel for what it could be if communism was in the United States. Because that'd be crazy.
That right there, bro.
Yeah. that would be crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Communist United States would be wild.
Oh, we'd be done for. I wouldn't own any of this.
I don't think it would happen though. I think there's
It
too many
could.
there's too many gun-loving Americans.
Oh, it wouldn't happen without a fight.
yeah.
But we would have a civil war, like a
Yeah.
legit civil war.
Civil war.
Like right now, people are like, oh, civil war. I'm like, no, we're in one. If I can't say I'm voting for Trump without people losing their minds and possibly physically attacking me,
Yeah.
we're in a version of a civil war.
Yeah.
If two people who disagree with each other can't sit down and have a civil conversation without racist, fascist, sexist, bigot nonsense being thrown back and forth,
Yeah.
if you can't just sit down and have a conversation, like I'm a passionate dude for what I feel like and for what I believe in. Like I'm very passionate about, I've got conviction, but I'm also open-minded enough to listen to someone else talk and disagree with them without physical altercation. Now, I've had a lot of personal growth to get to this point because 20 years ago, me would just fight on sight somebody who I disagree with that passionately about anything. But like today, I would sit down and listen to someone else's point of view, even if I know going into it I'm going to disagree with them.
Yeah.
Like I would listen to them and have a kind of be like, oh, I did this last week at work. There's a dude that cracks me up because he claims to be a libertarian, which means freedom for all, like minimum laws, minimum government. I do what I want. You do what you want. We leave each other the hell alone. Like if you want to butcher your chickens in your front lawn and your boxers, you can. There's nothing wrong with that. But if I want to do some other wild shit that isn't normal, you leave me alone to do it. Like that's the ultimate freedom person. So he claims this. And then we start talking about firearms. And he starts saying that he's got a CCW and some other weapons training certificate.
Okay.
And he's got it for a few different states. I was like, that's cool, dude. Like, I'm just a constitutional carry here in Arizona. I never dealt with my CCW because it's just one more federal government document I have to have proving I own guns. Like, no, thank you. And he goes, well, I don't think constitutional carry should be, I don't agree with it. I was like, excuse me? Like, you're a gun dude. What do you mean you don't agree with it? And he goes, well, because now any person can just carry a gun concealed. And I think you should have to like prove you've been trained and prove. I was like, okay, like on just the outlay of what you're saying. Like, I do agree. I wish that people would get training. Like, I wish it was kind of a mandatory thing. Like, I wish it was compulsory that in order to buy a firearm for your first time, you need to go do some training, basic level training. Because right now, anyone 20 goes, I don't think anyone over 21 can just go buy a gun. I said, well, I don't agree with you in reality, but in a perfect world, like communists like to believe, it's this perfect world. Then yeah, I think everyone should get training. I believe I put a lot of stock into training. And he goes, I was like, but it's kind of weird being a libertarian that you think that someone's rights should be infringed in order to what? Provide safety? I said, here's the problem with your logic. A criminal is always going to break the law because it's more expedient for them in order to get what they're after. So if someone is willing to rob you at gunpoint, they're not going to go through the process of getting the gun legally, getting the paperwork done legally, getting the training legally to stick you up at your car in a parking lot. So all you're doing is adding extra steps to someone who would already obey the gun laws.
Yeah.
And that's all gun laws do. All they do is
Yeah,
jam up
if
legal
somebody's
people.
if somebody's gonna rob you like that, they're just buying a gun off the street.
They're just gonna. They don't care how they're gonna steal a gun.
Yeah, or steal a gun.
So they're gonna break into someone's house when they're not home, go through their shit. Hopefully they find a gun. And if they find a gun, they're gonna use it to commit a crime and then just toss it like a burner cell phone.
Yeah.
Like all you're doing is hampering people who are already obeying the law.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, yeah, but like he talks about the South Side. The South Side's a pretty sketchy place sometimes. I've never had an issue there, and I've lived there. Crime happens, but it mostly happens in inner cities with people that want to get in the mix.
And poor police.
Like gangbangers will always be gangbangers, and gangbangers steal shit. So they're going to have stolen firearms. So now you want to implement more laws that infringe the rights of the people to protect themselves from criminals and make it harder for them to protect themselves. But criminals are still going to disobey those rules anyway.
Yeah.
Like your logic is flawed, bro.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
You're practically you're defending California right now.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? No, I'm not. And I was like, but you are. I was like, do you see what I'm saying? I'm listening to you. I'm hearing what you're saying. And to a degree, I see your logic and I could agree with it. We don't live in that world.
No.
So what you're saying makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Because all you're doing is jamming up the dude who's willing to obey the law no matter what the law is.
Exactly. Because like you said, a criminal doesn't worry about that stuff.
Hell no, dude.
No.
Criminals do criminals. Like, criminals going to be criminal all the time. So he just kept coming up with goofy, flawed logic like that. Well, I think you should. I'm like, dude, you're right. I wish more people would take training seriously. And I wish people would go out of their way to run training drills. Like I've got an at-home training laser machine so I can do at-home drills. Like, but I also grew up with this as a lifestyle, so it's a big part of my life. I'm very well trained. There's always room for improvement. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I am better suited than your random 21-year-old going in for the first time ever to pick up a SIG. So, I don't flag people. But, dude, like it just flawed logic. I'm like, okay, I'm willing to listen to you. And I wasn't yelling. Like it was a really friendly conversation, but I was like, bro, do you hear yourself? Like really think about what you're saying. You're basically saying the same thing Gavin Newsom says in California. Well, no, I'm not. I'm like, but you are though. You're trying to increase the difficulty for a normal citizen who has no. He was like, well, I've got a crime record. Like he didn't have felonies or anything, but he's like, I've got misdemeanors and stuff. Like I was like, okay, I have none of that. I got arrested when I was 16 years old. That's all been expunged. And it was an underage drinking thing. Like it had nothing to do with anything else. Like I don't have a criminal history. Like it takes 3 seconds for the FBI to run my background for whenever I buy a new pistol or whatever. So why should I be hemmed up going to go do a training when I grew up on range? Like I've been breaking down weapons my entire life. Why do I have to go do that? So your logic is kind of flawed because now you're enforcing someone who's never had criminal history to go through all these extra steps after I've already proven.
Just to try to keep guns out of criminals' hands, which isn't going to affect that at all.
Never going to happen, dude. So like it just, I don't know. Too many laws gum up the works.
Yeah.
You need to have a few laws and then enforce the laws that are on your books. It is illegal for people to break into our country, and we're now calling them migrants and all these other weird acronyms and stuff. It's like, no, dude, they're illegal immigrants. Well, they didn't come here illegally because the government let them in. I'm like, yeah, but the government let them in illegally.
Yeah.
We have laws on the books that say you stay in place. If you're an asylum seeker, you fill out paperwork and you stay where the hell you are until we approve your asylum. And then you come over here. I got a lot of friends that came here legally. One of my really good friends came here legally. He did the work. Like his family came here legally. All of his siblings were born here legally. And then they went back to Mexico when he was born because it was cheaper. And then she was like, he's got a brother that's got full citizenship who lives back in Mexico because he got dual.
Yeah.
And then he's got his green card because he was born in Mexico. And he's like, damn. I was like, that sucks. But he did all the work and he came here legally. And he goes back because his mom still lives in Mexico. He goes and sees her a couple times a year. But otherwise, like, he's lived here his whole damn life. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no. He's like, it's not that hard. Like, I did all the right paperwork. I went through all the things I needed to go through. I've got my card. And common misconception, green cards aren't green.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his is pink.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, it's not difficult, but when they're shipping them over here by the freaking busload and just letting them go, and the plane load, and they're flying them wherever they want to go, and you can pull up the news and watch 10,000 people rushing through the Rio Grande coming into Texas.
Yeah, it's wild.
And just fanning out, and we don't know who any of these people are. Mm-hmm. Like, you need to be vetting people. Like, if you want to go visit an inmate in prison, you get vetted. Mm-hmm. Why are we vetting people trying to get into a secured facility to visit someone on lockdown for 10 years? Mm-hmm. Like, but we don't vet people coming across our border to just run amok amongst all of our free citizens. Yeah. It's insane to me.
No, it is.
So, I don't know. There's so much wrong. But anyways, this was our review of a couple of movies. turned a bunch of other stuff. But if you hung out, if you liked what we said, please leave a like. Leave a subscribe, maybe. If you disagree with me on all points, let me know, and I'll argue with you in the comment section.
I'll see you in the comment section.
Or I'll see your point, and I'll concede. But generally speaking, I tend to think I'm right. And otherwise, I wouldn't be having this opinion. But if I think you're right and you've got a compelling argument, I will certainly hear you out. But, yeah, man. Here pretty soon, I'm going to start really pushing to try to get the show to grow. Right now, I haven't done anything to promote at all.
Yeah.
But that'll be changing here in the coming months. I'll be promoting the shit out of this show.
Okay.
I'll be making some swag. So,
cool.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
To get some people coming in.
Give me some stickers.
Yeah, dude. I'm definitely gonna get some stickers. And if I'm probably going to come up with a few different logos. So if you think anything you want to draw something up, draw it up.
Okay.
Probably get a few different types of stickers made up with a few different logos. Try to do a workshop, and then if I ever pick one I like, I might get some shirts made.
Oh, cool.
But I got to get some more followers.
I'll take a t-shirt.
I might even do a giveaway.
Nice.
If I start getting followers.
Yeah.
So if you've made it this far into the rant, hang out, man. Start liking, start paying attention. In the coming months, I might start doing some stuff to really promote the shit out of the show.
That'd be fun.
And then I'll start getting more guests in because I just needed all my glitches to die off.
Not glitch, yeah.
And haven't had a glitch in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's run very smoothly lately.
Yeah, once I figured out the last of the settings on the new stuff that I didn't go through with the new computer. So yeah, if you got something to say, say it. All of my comments are very, very much not on safe mode. So you can say pretty much whatever you want. Because there is a safe mode thing for YouTube that you can put to where people can't say certain things.
Oh, really?
All that shit's off.
Yeah.
No filter. Say whatever you want.
No censorship.
So, all right. It's time for me to go to bed.
All right.
So from Tucson,
it's late.
Arizona, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
I'm Batman.